stayed back there and whatever.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, we'll begin with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone to the August 8th Marion County Commission meeting. We begin with public forum. Is there anyone who wishes to make any comments? First call, second call. Anyone care to make public comments? If not, this is last call for public forum comments.
I don't know, I don't think so. I don't know if they have it on there yet.
Does anyone have public forum comments?
Yes, we do.
They're calling for them.
Okay, when did we do that? When did we already do that flag salute? We should.
Yeah.
Here we go.
No, give it a chance. Keep going.
Come on,
Public
fellas,
forum.
don't be such a
Huh?
smart ass.
Well, I just wondered, because you asked if they'd already done it. I thought, were you making sure you weren't in on that, or what?
Well, we didn't have an invocation, did we? Whatever happened to that?
They haven't been doing
Good.
it.
Yeah, we
Clock is running. Tom Britton, you have comments? And we do understand that
Yeah.
you did report ahead of time, so that
He's sick.
Yeah.
You could pull in a check.
Okay, so I want to make an announcement that I'm going to run for candidacy for District 4 County Commissioner on Friday vote. And as per Article 27106-2 of the Marion County zoning regulations, the Doyle conditional use permits expired April 1st, 2020. By what authority allow continuation of this windmill project? That's what I've been asking. Okay.
Thank you for
Have me an answer.
And we'll be waiting for your payment on your judgment to the county.
Pardon me?
In your court ruling, you owe the county.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I
You're in
don't.
violation.
No, I'm not.
This will be your last opportunity to speak before this commission.
No, I'm not,
So you
because
meet
that has to
the
be
terms.
court ordered, and it wasn't court ordered. I'm just telling you, I said, I don't know why you do that, you guys
Yeah.
keep beating me up, but anyway, that's what you're doing here, and I said, but, no, I'm done with that. In fact, I'm already done with it.
Okay, your
Mr.
time's up.
Mr. Mueller, okay,
Time's up.
there we go.
Anyone else, public comment?
No justice.
I'd just like to make one comment about
Your
that.
name for the
Bob
record.
Gale. And I guess my only question would be, is like the regulation he just quoted. If the cup's expired back in 2022, and it appears like it did, and I believe there's a one-year extension, I believe that is wasn't either filed for or has since expired. You know, I think the public does, you know, probably in public interest to get some sort of explanation as to what, you know, what he's talking about, what authority you go forward with. If you're using those regulations as the controlling authority here, then, you know, that's why there's people having questions on that. So, that's my only comment.
Okay,
Thank you.
Appreciate your
Appreciate it.
comment.
Thank you.
And we will get an answer to you.
Sure, thanks.
If there's no other public comments, we will move into agenda approval. Any additions to the agenda?
You might want a, excuse me, you may want to add an executive session to review emergency management applications.
All right.
Emergency management complications?
Applications?
Oh, application. I thought, complication, what am I not aware?
Give Mr.
Yeah, we'll do that at the very end. Thank you, Tina. I guess I should have asked on public comments if there's anyone online. We do have several people online. If you do,
Does anyone online have a public comment?
unmute your mic. Okay, apologize for that. Doesn't seem that we have any public comments online. We'll move into administrative.
Okay. I do have the minutes of July 29th.
Okay, commission's had a chance to review minutes of July 29th. Any additions or corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Gehring, second by Commissioner Dahlke. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, I do have some early checks. This was in your packet, that the grand total is $36,505.22.
Commission's had a chance to review the early checks. Are there any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Commissioner Gehring, $36,505.22. Second, Commissioner Becker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Had my budget pen out.
What?
Had my budget pen out. Can't sign documents with budget pen. It's bright red.
Blue is okay. Right. Okay.
In your packet, you do have information about the performance of the Marion County appraiser.
Everything was good. Good still.
Good news.
That's just for your information. Really the same, we do have a couple of invoices here on the security project. They've been working pretty diligently on that. You can't really tell they've been here,
Mhm.
but they have been. I know they've been here because they've been here in the evenings when I've been working. So anyway, we do have a couple of invoices, progress invoices for approval.
And I believe they were in the packet,
They
right?
were in the packet.
Okay. Need a motion to approve?
We did the last one, so if you want to do that, just to be consistent, that's great.
Great.
Motion to
Commission,
approve 907, invoice ending in 907 and 908.
okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Gehring to approve invoices from 4PC Security Technology. One is in the amount of $6,328.67. The other in the amount of $28,943.39. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Commissioner Crowfoot. Discussion?
Just make a note that they didn't charge any labor for the add-on, which was
Right.
muchly appreciated.
Yep.
They didn't have to do that, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, very good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. Do you want these initialed or anything? Or just?
I don't need
Good,
them.
okay. Very good.
I have a few salary sheets.
Okay, on the ambulance, Matthew Williams,
I don't know.
change from volunteer.
Unless Josh knows something.
But that's right, ambulance, Matthew Williams, change from volunteer to part-time EMTV, $12.89 an hour. Ambulance department, Teagan Decker, new EMTV, $12.89 an hour. And ambulance department, Evan Moore, change from full-time to part-time paramedic, no change in pay, but it's $16.45 an hour. Last one, Dispatch, Megan Cheezick, change from full-time to part-time 911 dispatcher, $15.98 an hour, no change in pay.
Okay, I do have a question. As you all are aware, we're working on the Leadership Marion County program. The application deadline has been extended, and we've also sent this out to county employees. So my question is, in the past, when we had the leadership program, the county could sponsor employees and pay their fee and then allow them to utilize work time where they attend the sessions. So I just need to verify whether that is something that you want to do again. The fee this time, instead of $200, is only $50. And it is a total of 8 sessions. Most of them are half days. So,
Is there any opposition or any questions?
No.
So we have consensus to
Yeah,
proceed?
I think it's a great thing to encourage people to participate.
Good. Very good.
okay. We've been getting some questions since we shared that with employees, and I just wanted to make sure that you were okay with this.
How many people have we got?
I believe right now there are 5 applicants that came during the regular deadline, which was, I think the deadline was August 1st. And so then the group decided to extend that, I believe, through the 12th.
12, yes.
And so that's this coming Friday, so.
I'd like to see every employee take it, but what happens if 10 apply?
I think if 10, the group will narrow down if they get too many applications.
Okay.
And
Okay.
they're prepared to kind of rank those and narrow that if needed, but I think they're looking for a group, probably of 10 to 15 people.
Yes, right.
To do the program countywide, so. Okay. All right, I think that was all I had, so I don't know if this is a good time for you to review
We might do that. First, I just want to say thank you, Tina, to you and your staff, and all the election workers for doing an outstanding job in the primary. We're incredibly good turnout.
That's great.
Which is
turnout,
great
yeah.
for the county, but that makes it difficult for you and all the workers. But heard a lot of good things and very good result. Thank you for secure and safe elections.
I appreciate that, and just a huge thank you to my staff and to all the election workers that volunteered to do that. Yeah, it's a pretty big push to get all that done.
A lot of time.
Also letting you know that the R&R notices are with the printer, so they should be hitting mailboxes soon. They're gonna be hitting in 3 batches. Postalocity has asked if they could divide it into 3 groups because there's so many statewide that they need to do, and so they did it based on hearing dates. So the first batch is a smaller batch for those hearings that are coming up right away, and then there'll be 2 separate batches after that. So those will be hitting mailboxes soon. If you all want to see a sample notice and kind of what I put on the back of that, I probably should show that to you because people will have questions.
Yeah, that's,
People are
I
gonna have
say,
questions.
probably should, it's a good idea, even though, I
Yeah.
mean, we know it's okay, but we probably should know what to answer when the people ask.
Right, in fact, could we maybe block some time next week?
You'll have the
and
same
you can
answer.
walk through with
Yeah.
us?
Yep, sure. Let me just make a note on.
Because there will be lots of questions. And I don't know that even we understand it, but we need to be able to explain.
Yeah, that was a huge push on trying to do that during the election. That was ridiculous. But it's done.
All right, I move that we recess an executive session in order to discuss applications for emergency management director pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, and that would be
Application.
For
personnel
what?
matters.
Personnel.
Item 1 for personnel matters, not elected personnel performance with the commission and Tina. Let's say 10 minutes from 12:46 to 12:56. Second, Commissioner Dalkey, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We will be back at 12:56.
This conference will now be recorded.
Some people voted for him 3 times.
But now we've got competition.
They voted early and often.
All right, we're out of executive session, no decisions made.
You're next.
If Josh is in the hallway, we could
Yeah.
probably go ahead.
Oh.
Perfect. Thank you.
Well, I guess we'll just go ahead and start with the solid waste management plan.
Okay.
I had Tina email that all to you.
Yep.
It was just a few updates that I added and stuff. There wasn't much going on, so we just approve it from you guys if everything's okay. If you don't have any questions.
Were there any questions, Commissioner?
You didn't change nothing major,
We don't
was it?
know. have
No,
any changes.
nothing major. It's just
The red, what's in red?
yeah, what was in red is what I changed, and it was just like sunflower and Isley, who they're picking up and stuff, so.
So have we seen an increase since then?
The increase is up a little, but it's not real dramatic on that, so.
Sorry about that.
I did see an article in the Hillsborough paper that Hillsborough is raising their rates.
So's Marion.
So is Marion. I think we ought to open our eyes. That's all I'm gonna say. I think we ought to take a look around. I mean, what I'm getting at is what they're raising the rates on. If you look at, if somebody has 3 containers or 4,
Mhm.
they're paying more there,
Mhm.
but they're still paying the same with the county,
Yeah.
and yet contributing more trash. So,
Mm-hmm.
in our way, it's on the volume that we pick up for each household, you know, so.
We charge by the ton, don't we? We charge by the ton.
If the
No, I'm
city's
talking
coming
about
in-
your assessment. That's
Oh,
against-
assessment.
Assessment against your taxes.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So, I don't know, that's a lot of work. I don't know how it would work. I'm just saying, we've got a plan here that's, it's not as easy as it was when it was long before me.
Mhm.
It was
Can
already.
either of the, can people opt out of their trash
Can.
in Marion, Hillsborough?
Yeah.
You know, I know sometimes
Marion
it's
you
all
can.
one bill, you know.
Not on taxes, so.
No, not on that, but I'm talking about their city
Yeah,
bill.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, Marion charging $8.
So what you're saying is you might see more people pulling up to the garage doors.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I can understand that in Marion where it's at. I mean,
Yeah.
I can understand that.
You'd think that would certainly pick up there.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we've had a lot of calls for the recycling, you know, and people are questioning about that. Well, that's a city piece, you know, but we still have it. We have a bin out and just explain it to them what we have, and, oh, we didn't realize that. And some of them, well, we can just bring it to you once a month. Yeah. You know, whatever you wanna do, you know, we're here that's had it for about a year or better, so.
I guess I haven't seen it personally. Is there a sign for the recycling when you're at the yard? I got told that it misstates, and it basically says what we originally set up, you know, before the bin. And if that's true, then maybe we need to adjust that.
Yeah, and me and the guys, we've kind of talked about, you know, trying to get a sign made that says, recycling and green bin around, by the scale house.
Or just not have the sign. I don't
And
know.
I know we got a sign out there that says trash with the arrows pointing to it through the doors, so.
Well,
that's-
Made me think of that. So.
But they come and they have to weigh it, right, and put it, and be charged, right?
The
For
recycling?
Yeah.
A lot of them just, it's like a couple bags, we don't weigh it, cause it's not gonna weigh, cause our scales
So
are only
are
12
you,
pounds.
but my question is, are you charging the public for it or not?
Yeah, we charge them $5, the $5 fee is what we set up
Okay.
for when we done it, so.
Okay.
Each time that they come is $5.
Yep.
I did.
Cool, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I did get asked if we could work out a membership program or something for $100 a year, so they didn't have to pay the $5 fee every time.
Well,
They said I'd gladly pay $100 rather than have to come up with $5 cash every time I show up.
Yeah.
Involve labor to keep track of it.
Right, you'd have to have
A card.
You'd have to have a card and.
Unless we did some type of punch card, you know.
Punch
$100
card or somebody that's got a
They
spread.
come up, we just punch
Got a
it.
spreadsheet.
Get the 21 for free.
There you go. Get one free. You know, there's a lot of ideas we can throw around on that too.
Yeah.
That's just something to think about. I know it's a necessary fee, but it's also just convenience for them too.
Well,
If they're, especially if they're not complaining about having to pay, they just don't want to
Yeah.
have to
Every
dig up
time, yeah.
Especially when you carry cards and.
Mhm. Yeah.
How does that have to be packaged?
Could be like loan cards.
Do what?
When they bring it to the
Give you a
bin, I
card,
mean,
you
surely
buy
you're not
card,
putting it, you wouldn't want it in a plastic bag.
No, a lot of
How do
them
they-
just put it in their plastic bags and they dump it in the green bin and then they take their plastic bags with them.
So you bring
So-
in 10 bags of trash, then the next one's free.
Yeah, that's what we were joking about.
The cards, they keep the cards, they just dump out the card, they just actually.
Yeah, their bags or their boxes, whatever, they keep their boxes and bags and stuff, and they'll refill them, and bring them up, and they'll just dump them in that green bin that we have out front. And when it's full, or every third, fourth Friday morning, I'll go up and dump it, so it's empty for them, try to keep it down, so it's easier for the public to keep adding to it, so.
Hear any more from Fort Riley?
I did talk to them, we need to set up to go up there and get but they were kind of leaning, okay, Fridays they'd probably be able to take it, I just have to call and set it up.
And you have to have a special permit to get in.
Yeah, I have to be,
You have to have a
Clearance from.
Clearance
clear
and-
background.
Yeah.
Background check.
Yeah, like what you did in 1982 that you don't remember can keep you out. Well, there was a motion on the floor from Commissioner Gehring to approve the solid waste management plan. Is there a second? Also, second, Commissioner Becker. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Sorry to ask so many questions, but we're getting phone calls in our office, and so I just need to make sure that I know what we're
no,
even doing.
that is perfect fine.
But that's good, the process, since people put it in the bin, that's $5 each time.
I did bid out a trailer, and from what I've seen, prices from last year to this year, roughly about $30,000 up. I have kind of been looking online.
Someone wanted to buy two last year.
Yeah.
That's gonna save us $30,000.
Yeah.
Is this the same company?
Yeah, they're both the same company that we've been dealing with, yeah.
You want to buy two this time?
No,
Next time-
my budget could not handle that one. No, it could not.
Next time it'll be 120,000.
Yeah, I have been looking at used ones, but used ones I do find their floors are, they're well used.
They're like what you got.
Yeah, exactly, so.
You don't gain anything.
Yeah. No, you're better off buying new.
The K&L Holdings is, you're looking almost a year and 3 or 4 months before we'd even see it. Wilkins, they're showing June, so even say 11 months or 10 to 12 months before we'd even have it there from them too. So, or not only did the price go up, so did our wait time.
Yeah.
do we have one of each kind of trailers?
I think we do. The one that's all rusted out, I think that one was actually a Wilkins trailer.
At one time it was.
It was.
You can tell what it was.
Yeah, and then the K and Holding, it seems like they hold up a little. They don't rust out as fast.
What's up? Where's the Wilkins out of?
Stockton is one of their plants,
Stockton where?
Kansas.
Oh. Cheap transportation here, there.
Well, I guess we stayed here long enough to find out that sometimes your inklings is to do what you do.
I think when I first started, we bought one for what, 50?
Right at 50, 52.
49?
Yeah, something right in that area. Yeah.
No, that's what they were last year. 60.
Yeah, it was right around 68 or somewhere.
Make a motion, if nobody has any concern, other questions, and make a motion to go with K&L Holdings, Stepco for the new walking floor trailer.
They were both out about the same time duration to get it delivered.
The K&N is 58 to 62, so it's roughly about
A little farther.
a year and 3 to year and 4 months. And then Wilkins, they just got delivery date of June 23, so I'd say 10 to 12 months on that one, really, just to be realistically.
So I guess if you want to pay like $6,000 more, you might get it quicker, 3-4 months. So.
I don't think it's worth that much money for 3 months. Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Commissioner Dalkey. Is there a second?
You did say the K&L.
Yes, Holdings, Stepco.
It holds up better?
They seem, yeah, they don't rust out as fast as the Wilkins. So.
Are we budgeting that for 23 then?
I do have 140, so I do have the money to be able to do.
So we're gonna budget in this budget year yet.
And I don't know if we can we?
Well, I mean, if you commit to it this year, it goes against this year's budget. We'd have to
Well, I didn't know
encumber
we
if
had
it's
to
not
commit the
here
whole
in
thing or
time.
just the deposit.
I'm sorry, what? I
Budget.
didn't hear what you said because I was
Budget,
talking.
just the
I didn't
deposit.
know if we had to just commit to the deposit since it was that far out.
Well,
for budget.
yes, but when you actually budget it, you also have to have the money available.
So it comes out of this year's budget.
So, kind of yes and no.
Yeah.
But if we aren't gonna get it till next,
Right.
we can encumber it, but we'll have to cancel the encumbrance at the end of February, and then it would come out of next year's budget. So,
Oh,
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gary. Discussion. Since we've had all the discussion during the motion and in between that and the second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. We'll look forward to it next September.
68.
And that was for K&N Holding.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we make what we've got last that long?
Tough time.
I think we can. I'm gonna have to work with the road and bridge and see if we can't try to make 2 trailers into one for now. So on that, but I do have one question. I've got the release of liability form. When we talked about that, was there a set amount that we was looking at?
I don't know if we decided whether to charge or not. I don't think we did.
We did not make a decision.
That's up to the commission. If they want to set a charge, I think either way. They are paying to bring it here. And if there's something that I just feel that, I just want you to know and the workers to know, if there's for some reason they can't do what somebody thinks they can, they need to be able to talk to you or say, hey, we have a problem here. We can't do it for some reason. If, some safety reason or something like that, somebody brings a trailer in that's not kosher, something to that effect, I think you have that call.
Okay.
And, or your foreman down there calls you for that call, one of the two, and tells you why.
Mhm.
And so, because we want it safe, no matter what.
Yeah, yeah. I want my guys to do the best. I don't want them to
Yep.
destroy anything.
Well, right,
and
right.
stuff too.
You know, either
so-
way. But just so if there's some safety factor that they don't wanna do, or they need to bring it up to us.
Mhm.
Okay, how long?
Most of this is to protect us from damaging their trailer.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how long?
Personal
That
and
we won't have to pay for.
yeah.
How long typically would the assistance be needed? Is it a 15-minute deal? Is it-
Yeah, 15 minutes most of the time, when you that much. I
Yeah.
mean, it didn't used to be when we had one line through.
Mhm.
Wasn't there used to be an old sign up there that said floor help $5 or something?
Yeah, there was a pull-off fee of $5.
Yeah, yeah, we put that in effect at one time too.
Mhm.
I mean, would that fit it? Or would it be 10?
I think in today's world, I wouldn't bother saying 20, but that's up to commission.
I think I'd put tips appreciated. You know, everybody's doing that nowadays.
Mhm.
I mean, don't charge them anything, let them,
No.
Now, the tip's going to where though?
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
they'll make the people hustle, will help them.
Well,
yeah.
I don't,
Then you're using county
I don't
equipment
think
so
that
they
would
can
be
put a tip in their
advisable.
pocket. That's not gonna happen. Sorry. I do see a consensus forming for charging. The next question is the amount.
I mean, I think it's worth $20. If they're gonna pull a trailer in that needs help pulled off, I think it's worth $20. That's mine.
But what if it takes a guy an hour to unload by himself then?
Well, then you'll have some that take 5.
Yeah.
5 hours?
Well, you have some that take
No.
5 minutes and some that take an
No,
hour.
well, and,
I know.
okay, good suggestion. Did we put a time limit for this? $20 for maximum 30 minutes?
No, I mean, if the guy doesn't want to spend the $20, he unloads it himself and it takes him an hour to do it.
There's,
We have some people that come in and it takes them, 30, 40 minutes just to unload, but they're the people that's one piece at a time and stuff, and they're stopping one lane completely, and then my guys have to work around trying to keep the other lane clean. So even putting a time limit on everybody would be, say okay, after this time you're gonna have to pull out and leave, and you're gonna have to come back and wait and let these others get in.
yeah, especially if you had a busy day.
Mm-hmm. There's times it does happen.
Yeah.
I hear it from my guys.
How about a sliding scale for $10 you get 10 minutes?
That's good. Okay.
$1 a minute.
$1 a minute.
$1 a minute.
So 900 phone
I
calls.
tell you what, some unloading that crap stuff is.
Yeah. I hope the machine does it. I don't want to physically.
I think you're better off with the flat fee.
Okay.
We can't use the machine. Unload the
I do.
Okay.
backhoe.
Well, what fee do you wanna go, 20?
That's what this is for.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you was pulling them out by
Yeah.
hand.
No.
This is for the equipment, offload trailers with the
Excuse me.
equipment.
You can't put a piece of equipment in a covered trailer. I mean, there's no way.
No.
The waiver with the
If
$20
you
fee.
could,
Waiver with the $20 fee.
Yep.
Is that a motion?
So that's for a full load, or what about people that come in with 2 pieces of sheet rock?
That's, most of them are gonna unload it. There's some people that have them flat trailers that, they want it in and out, and they'd pay the $20 or whatever just for you to go up and shove it off so they can go out way off and get on their way. There's.
Time has value.
Yeah.
Some people are starting to realize time has value.
Mhm.
Some people.
Yeah.
So Commissioner Gearing, was that a motion? I think
How
it was Randy's.
many
Commissioner
people
Ball.
think that our solid waste fee covers that?
I don't know, Ken. I never, that to me.
I mean, the first thing you're gonna hear is, well, I paid my solid waste fee,
Yeah.
I gotta pay now for somebody to pull it off?
Well, not everybody has to have assistance pulling
you'd
it
have to
off.
pay for somebody to pick it
Yeah.
up.
I mean, I know there's a brand new trailer set in Peabody, Kansas, with dump beds, and it'll be used, but I've got quite a few loads to haul. So, but still, I'm just happy to have the place. And anybody, city residents of Marion ought to be happy that it's here, because it's a trip for the rest of us.
Mhm.
And it's a
Well,
major.
If nothing else, it keeps it out of the ditch.
Yeah, I'm just glad to have it. So, I don't know, Ken, I really can't tell you that I haven't had no complaints yet. Now, if we start this, we may get some complaints. I'm not gonna argue that a bit, yeah.
I'll make the motion. All right. Commissioner Garing made the motion to go with the liability form if they request assistance and a $20 fee. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Balky. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion carried 4-1. He's thinking about not having to pay that $20.
Yeah. That's all right. Josh, I would like some sort of report on see how that's going.
Okay.
Because if we don't hear it, I mean, you guys may hear it, but we may not hear it, and we'd like to know what's happening.
Yeah, I know there's some people that, you know, would pay that just so they can get in and out quicker, and stuff, so.
So are you gonna issue them a receipt then?
Do what?
You gonna issue them a receipt?
Yeah, if most of it's gonna be C&D, we will put their charge for their C&D, and below that, pull-off fee of $20 is gonna be added into it, so.
Yeah, if you come with that big of a load, you usually have to pay something.
Mhm, right, yeah.
And get a receipt that way too, so you're just adding it to the receipt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Punch card idea. I'm starting to think that's the way to go. The recycle club, yeah.
No bookkeeping to it as long as they got the card.
Yeah. I would be in favor of that, is what I'm saying.
I just see, we just paid 80,000, 30,000 higher, 20,000 higher for a trailer this year than we did last year. Somewhere, we're not increasing 20,000 a year on our budget.
Expenses doing this. And
Yeah, and so, I don't know. And, you know, wages going up, cost of fuel's going up, everything, nothing's coming down, so.
Well, as we're talking about it, my guys have, you know, the demo guys, you know, not to really pick on them, but, you know, those are our biggest guys is when they tear out their vehicles and clean them out, you know, they bring it in and drop it off. You know, they're wondering, would it be feasible to start charging them? Because it's not a household waste.
Demolition cars?
You know, like when they're pulling out the seats and tearing it out and stripping them down to build their demo cars, you know, there's things like that, you know, that's one thing my guys brought up to me this morning. They're starting to see more and more of that coming in
Because
too.
right now it's demo time. I mean, you know, for the fair and all this. And
Demo
everything.
cars are costing them way too much money. I don't think you're gonna see very many demo cars
No,
anymore.
Yeah, but
The
you
ones
gotta-
that were buying for $75 are now $500.
but, okay.
How much can you
Let's-
win? Even
Let's
if you
take
win?
that, you know, that seems to be, maybe somebody's gonna buy 2 or 3 or pick up 2 or 3 of the cars and, have quite a few. But even the person that has one vehicle that does that, sets around, what do you do with them if you can't take them there? I mean, they've got metal in them.
Leave in your backyard?
Metal, you know, a lot of them know. if
Well,
it's
there's
just metal,
plenty of
they-
scrappers around.
Mhm.
I know 2 or 3 scrappers.
But these are
Metal's
the
metal.
seats and the dashes and, you know, stuff that, you know, Grant has a little metal in, but you're gonna work hard to get the metal out. The door, you know,
Yeah.
the trim and all that too,
You like,
you know,
you like
it
that
doesn't.
seat on fire, that's what you do.
Well,
No, we didn't say
that's-
that.
Then fire department will come get us.
I guess it's something we'll consider to continue to consider.
Yeah.
It's easy to raise fees, but we need to be thinking about half the county is on fixed income.
Mhm.
Inflation is eating everybody's lunch.
Yeah.
And it's getting worse by the day. And when I see the food insecurity and all that, it bothers me.
All right, anything else, Josh?
No, that's it.
All right, well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Yep.
Still like
You
a,
have a second.
yep. Still like a phone call whenever somebody's bringing household, right? Not household, but demolition.
Yeah, it kinda gives them guys a heads up and what's coming in and stuff.
Get with you so we can work out a schedule or something.
Okay.
All right, sure.
Thank you. Thanks for waiting. Do you mind taking one of those?
Yep.
We didn't have a second. Okay.
Yeah, I got
Okay. One of the department business items that Josh and I share is the closed landfill responsibilities. the landfill on Pawnee and between 160th and 170th. We do, the state does an annual groundwater monitoring event, and we're down to 3 wells, but one of the wells in 2019 and 2021 showed a higher level for one organic volatile compound. They went ahead and tested that well again, and it had no detection this time, so they're gonna drop that well off of sampling, off of their rotation, and just go back down to the 3 wells again.
So it was an anomaly.
It was an anomaly, that's right, yeah. And I have the full report, if you're interested in looking at that. I didn't print it off for everyone. It's,
We like the summary.
okay, that's, you
Unless
got
there's
the
any
meat and
individuals
potatoes of that.
available.
Okay. And also, running just slightly behind, we had a very short notice state inspection today at the closed landfill. So they're out there just before the meeting to look at the cap. They go around and make sure that all of our wells are painted like they should be and protected, and that the area is free from vegetation or trees. And they also check the landfill cap to make sure that no waste is being exposed, and that's right. So
How often do you run it? One of you two run that and do that ourselves?
So we, as of this year, Josh and I monitor the gas wells. We check for the methane levels. 0 methane is what we want, and that's what we've had forever, basically. The state does an annual groundwater monitoring in those water wells, and then the state also comes out about once a year and does a cap inspection.
And I see it's still under, we're still under Jack?
Yes,
Chappelle.
Jack is the engineering firm that
Yeah.
assesses those samples.
I didn't know if we had any erosion or anything like that taking place.
There's one area that we'll probably be notified about, that we need to add a little bit of dirt to. Just a couple of maintenance issues, but I think we'll get a report back. There's usually 1 or 2 little items that they suggest while they're here.
A lot of years, it's been pretty quiet out there.
Yep.
It's good then.
So good news.
Yes.
How many more years?
Forever.
Too many? Well, you just got,
Um,
you're just testing 2 wells or 3?
Methane or water. So we're down to testing 3 water wells once a year, and we check 5 methane wells once a year.
Much MCF coming off of it? I mean, or is it just
No.
methane?
0.
It's just
0.
kind of there.
Yeah, it's at 0% right now.
Because most of it's all broke down,
Yeah,
degraded to nothing.
right. So that's good news.
I've seen they tested 30 feet on those wells. Depth.
They're,
Pulling methane out.
they range in, well, the static water level, I guess, is anywhere from 9 to 18 feet on the static water level. So I think the bottom is probably about 30 feet.
Okay.
Does that sound right, Josh?
I think so, it does, yeah.
Any other questions? Not, sounds good.
Report, Tina, did you get one?
I got it by email, which
Okay.
I need to put in the file.
Okay.
Do you want this one?
Yeah.
Oh, you got a different.
Yeah, I'll give Tina the big pack.
Yeah.
Give us a summary.
Right.
Sketchy outline.
Not very sketchy.
And also, just to report back on the trees that they were clearing out of there. That wasn't NRCS, that was, the extension.
I think, was it the?
I thought it was Quails Forever.
Maybe
Yeah,
that was it,
Quails
yes.
Forever.
Yeah, it was the
Yeah,
hunting
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, they
Yes.
use the chemical to spray the trees and that they cut down.
Good.
They took care of several trees out there.
I think we're lucky to have them on there because it wants to get wild quick enough, I mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did they pile the stuff that they cut?
They did pile it and some, you know, wherever there's some that they still laid out, so.
Cover for the quail.
Any other questions?
Alright, and as far as the maintenance on the cap, it has to be mowed like twice a year, probably.
Once or twice a year.
So Road and Bridge does that.
Okay.
But we're also exploring some other options for maintenance on that cap possibly. The state may be trying to find some other solutions that are more conducive to land use. So we'll continue to follow that discussion.
Let wildflowers grow.
That was one option. I'm not sure that that's less maintenance.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, yeah.
Milkweed.
Butterfly habitat.
Butterfly habitat.
Pollinator habitat.
Do something for bees. My garden needs it.
Okay, anything else?
I think that's all I have on that issue.
Okay, thank you, Josh.
Okay, thanks, Josh.
Thanks.
All right, shift gears.
Okay. The other item I had, I would like an executive session for employee,
Personnel performance.
personnel matters regarding to job duties.
How long?
Oh, maybe 10 minutes.
I move that we recess to executive session in order to discuss personnel matters pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 1, personnel matters, not elected personnel performance with Sharon, Commission, and Tina for 10 minutes, 1:29 to 1:39.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gary. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Be back in 10 minutes.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we're out of executive session, no decisions made.
Do you have any other questions? Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Hey, sure.
Rice was there.
Rice. Rice.
Wow. Your turn.
She gave you 5 extra minutes.
Yes.
Just 5, okay.
Yep, she had a half hour.
Okay.
15 minutes.
All right.
That's
Don't mess it up. All right. Oh, wow. So we get 15 then, or do I get the 20?
you get 25.
25, okay. All right, first thing is a payment to the contractor in Indigo for approval. They are approximately 2/3 done. This one will pay for very little asphalt, but most of the full depth reclamation. And then I don't know if whether I specifically noted, but we did have the asphalt price adjustment on this contract, which basically means that whatever they bid it as, the price of oil, KDOT has an index that goes up or down. So in this case here, for this pay voucher, we've been paying another $23,794. If you don't specify that, then the contractor says, okay, I gotta put my money in there regardless, assuming the price is gonna go up. I look at it this way, at least this is a very objective way of determining what that is. So, but anyway, that's what the request would be there.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So you're saying our oil went up 22,000?
Yeah, well, it's based on the amount of oil in the mix, and the increase in that amount from when they bid. So,
Based on the price?
yes, the price of the
When
oil.
they bid,
Yes.
was a sub, $1. When,
Well, it's.
let's just say $1.
Yeah.
But then now it's $1.20.
Yes.
So that's the increase. Okay?
That's the way all these oil contracts are.
Anybody that, has the fuel price adjustment would pay for that. There's also, or excuse me, this is an asphalt price adjustment. There's also a fuel price adjustment for the price of diesel, which we don't have. But in this case here, when we did this, the oil was so volatile at the time, they probably would come back and it's like anybody else, a contractor, if there's any question, they're gonna have money in that too. So this is the objective way that KDOT has come up with to justify that. Now, it does come back to where if the price goes down as well, we take money back as well. So it's either way you do it.
It's a automatic change.
That never happens.
So if we wait another couple of months, it'll go down then.
Who knows? You know, that's where, you know, these guys, I mean, I've been told by contractors that they're getting oil prices for 7 to 14 days. You know, usually it's just, it's weeks and months, you know, and, or yearly contracts, they're not even really honoring them, so.
Okay, I would move to approve the application and certificate for payment on Aho and Sons on the Indigo project, the amount of $805,408.20. Application number 2.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Garing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
All right, as far as that update, they have everything covered, full depth reclamation. They actually had a wonderful day Saturday, and they anticipate being done, barring any problems, by the end of the week on the overlay. They will still have edge wedge to go, and then striping after that. So, again, if everything holds true, we're hoping by the end of the following week, it would be done with all that stuff. So.
End of the following week for open to traffic?
Yes,
Okay.
having the edge wedge done, as well as the striping. So striping should go fairly quickly, it's just the edge wedge is gonna take some time, so.
19th.
Somewhere around there, yeah. So, depending weather and trucks and things like
Okay,
that, so.
then everybody can try for their new speed records.
It's got, you know, for what we're working with, it's got a nice ride.
Yeah,
This rest of
it is pretty
Yeah, so. Let's see, okay. Also, due to being so busy, stuff like that, I actually, set up some inspection with EVH, to be out there instead of me being out there all the time. I would like to ask to get this be added to the, same payment on the bond, for $20,690. If anybody wants to look at that. They, having a local consultant, obviously cuts down no per diem, stuff like that, mileage, stuff like that, so, I wish we didn't have to do that, but just being out there so much.
Any questions, Commissioner?
Take it you haven't found nobody in your tech position?
Nope.
Seems to be a recurring story.
It seems to be that anything with tech in it, with all the departments, seem to be struggling.
Yeah. I guess we did get, got an applicant we actually did a drug test on, we should hear back today. And got another one, took an application about a week ago, I have not heard back from him, so maybe a little bit, so.
Didn't these guys just come out of Marion?
Yeah.
They're charging us for meals.
Did they?
Yeah, $225. I guess they're eating steak on us.
Guess I didn't see that, so.
I don't agree with that.
I'm sure we could get it taken off, so.
I mean, let's be real here.
I don't know where they get that in Marion County to go to spend that much. Meals. Nothing's open.
Well, I mean, are they sending out 3 guys at a time?
No, usually just one.
How many bridges were they inspecting?
No, this
So
is
this
the
is on the
inspection.
project.
This Indigo.
Oh, it's Indigo, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
This is just for the blacktop laydown? Is that what they?
Yeah, on the
and
full
milling?
depth,
And-
yeah, milling, the full depth reclamation, things like that, so basically the entire project.
So then do they give you written reports or are they just overseeing?
No, they document everything, it's all written, I can keep copies of everything, what's laid per day,
Seems
station, stuff like
ridiculous,
that.
but everything else is.
I don't know whether you, my only question that I come up with was, do we want to put it on bond or do we take care of it other ways?
I'm just asking, I could put it on my other items, and
I
so.
mean, I'm just throwing it out.
Do you have a recommendation, Tina?
Well, generally what we've been doing is we're paying this project out of capital improvement and the bond proceeds go going in
Capital
there.
improvement.
So we're paying any related expenses to that project out of
Right.
capital
So
improvement.
it keeps track of that then.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that.
I'd move to pay the EVH invoice in the amount of $20,690.63 out of capital improvement.
And this for an estimate.
What's that?
Is that invoice
It's
or?
an invoice.
Invoice, yeah.
Yeah, second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Garing, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion carried 4-1.
Tina, did you follow up on the change order signature that
I don't even know where that is right now. So no.
Okay. Just.
Sorry.
I was just, when that, when
If you
I.
can send it again,
Okay,
actually, I'll just print it off. I
Okay.
think you sent it to me.
yes. Okay. I just
I mean,
wanted-
since it's after the fact and that project was never approved that way, I didn't.
I was just
It's
trying to
just-
follow up to keep it, send the signed change order back to the contractor, so.
Poke at it,
Do what?
just wanted to poke at it.
No, no, I just, like I said, I like that contractor signed it, so. While she's working out 140th, we finished up, we'll be done with 2 miles today with 1 mile left. I'm hoping that we are done Wednesday, barring any problems. I've never, I'm not even talking about the problems we've had, it's just been one thing after another.
In
But
case,
anyway.
in case people were wondering, you're on your second machine.
Yes, and the other one's still out there if you wanna
So
go
you're
look at it.
working,
so-
or did they get it pulled out
Nope.
of the road? It's still on the
Nope,
road.
they're gonna come in tomorrow with 2 big rotator wreckers and pick up both sides and.
So let's be glad we leased the machine.
Oh, jeez, yeah. What a deal.
So the ones we usually did a change order on would be like what you did today, where you increase the amount on that big project. that we're
Well,
in the
that's what we
middle of.
did.
But that was a pay application, not a change order. So that's when we
Right.
did a change order. And
Right,
so-
but that's we followed up with a change order because we overran the contract a little bit.
Okay, I understand. This is on the pavement pros on that
Yes.
chip seal,
Yes.
or that
Crack seal.
crack
Crack
seal.
seal.
The issue though, like the thing you did today, there was no change order with it, with that pay application, but you said they're increasing the project cost, so we need a change order for those.
Yes, we will.
But like if it's just an invoice after the fact for a project that's not like.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
This one here,
So,
I
you
don't
guys
know
already
for
approved
sure
this.
exactly where we will be at the end, but yeah, if we go over that, we'll have to do that, so.
Okay.
We should probably do the change order to add that, I should have added that line on the original change order, just to say it was there.
For the, on Indigo, for the
Yes.
pay application,
Yep,
yeah.
yep. So,
So-
but anyway, okay. So on 140th, now, question being brought up, what do we want to do for final surface? I don't know, without doing a trimming all the way through there, if we would get it smooth enough for the constituents to be happy with a chip seal on top of it, regardless of how a chip seal is.
Right. How well is this stuff gonna hold up without a cap on it?
Well, and that's
without a-
that's the other thing is we don't know.
So
Now-
that's something we do need to know.
Yeah, now honestly, for the amount of traffic that we've had going on over there and everything else, it's performing fairly well. But again, the idea wasn't having this thing exposed for over 2 weeks while we were out there. Now, I guess I would like to recommend that, in order to, I think, give us the best surface, would be to go back with rock and build up 3 to 5 inches of rock. Same thing there to where we get a base and things like that, and if you want to, we could go back and chip seal on top of that. I think you'd get a better end result than what you would. You know, you look at the full depth reclamation we did, for the most part that's held up, but there are some spots there as well. So, I mean,
We're gonna go with rock. I'm gonna say the gray rock.
well, we'll put gray rock on top of it. I'd like to get a good base out of it and then go up from there. Finish off with
So you're talking about starting out with 2 inch and then go
somewhere around there, yep.
And gray rock, to be honest, the roads that I drive, when you come off of this, you know, the rebuilt road with the other rock, and you get onto where the gray rock is, it's almost like a solid surface, and both of them are rebuilt. It's
Yeah,
just,
it's performing well, there's no doubt about it, so. But anyway, I mean, I'm open to suggestions, comments, whatever else. I mean, you guys tell me what you wanna do.
You weren't planning on to just chip seal it right off the bat.
Well, he says this process is able to be done that. Again, the biggest problem I have is finishing with blades is I don't know if you can finish it as smooth and whatever else as you wanted to for a chip seal. That's kind of the biggest thing, again, without going back and doing a profile mill or something on top of it. Now, Chase County, they did theirs a week ahead of ours. They were able to get all theirs done in a couple days. They actually, I would say, were fortunate. The fact is, when they went through, they got hit with a pretty heavy rain right after. And the top inch or so became very, very slick and slimy. They went in and put a 3/4 inch to 1 inch rock on top of there and rolled it and got that kind of smashed in. Then they've gone back and did chip seal on top of that. Been down a week or so, don't really know. He also said that his daily traffic was down around 60. This down here was 175. So roughly 3 times the traffic on what this would have. Again, I don't know. I wish I had a magic crystal ball that would tell me what it is, but.
microsurface is just for already a solid surface though, right? You can't.
Correct.
You can't put it on.
Well, it'd be something like a chip seal. You know, after you were done, you'd have to have
chip
something.
seal it, then microsurface.
Yeah, yeah. Or just with the rock, you could probably go back and put, you know, microsurfacing on top of there. I don't know if that's ever really been done. That's more of a, you know, maintenance thing, so.
After you build up the base with the rock, how long before you'd be able to go back and chip seal? Be a next year type of deal?
Could be. I mean, it's just a matter of.
It's usually summertime when you do
Yeah,
that. So.
well, I mean, you get the base built and make sure it's good and solid, then when you come back and right before you chip seal, you can go back and reblade it to get a nice blade and broom it off and then have something.
Some of them they used to leave for 2 years.
Yeah, and I mean, that's, basically it's a very subjective guess, that's when you want to do that, but.
One thing going with your recommendation, immediately it's a safe road, and it's an all-weather road because of rock. We can still do our commitment of chip sealing it as that rock surface becomes base and have a good product then next year.
My recommendation is you'd have a better performing road with that than we would just going back with a chip seal on top of this, long term.
Yeah, I would agree. You're putting a harder substance in there, allowing it to be graded flat.
Especially with a road that had no base to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. As well.
Yeah, as long as we wind up with gray rock on it, I'm good with that.
Okay, is commission consensus to go with the engineer's recommendation?
Yeah, and we did receive an email from Mr. Mendoza, and I appreciate his email. I will say that I think the intent was to make it safe to start with, just whatever to get it to safeness and work it over. This process come in, it's going to be a better road with this process than just tearing it up and in fact just rock without all the stuff we normally do. But anyway, I think we've answered the question of trying to make it safe, get it passable, and it's not our intention just to throw it out the door. I think Mr. Mendoza thinks maybe sometimes we want to do that, but that's not our intentions at all. I think this road needs to be built up, put some sort of base with the gray rock or something like that, and let her set for a year and maybe get it on our next year's plan if we need to do something to finish it off and see what happens to this. This is a new process to us.
Yeah.
And so I'm willing to accept Bryce's idea here and go with it. I think it's, we're going to try to improve the road. That's what our goal is.
Very good. Sounds good. Just a little FYI here, going through the bridge applications and stuff like that for next year, which we'll discuss right after this. One of the things that the Kansas Local Bridge Improvement Program has is that we can actually get a credit for bridges taken off of the system. This is a documentation of a bridge west of Durham.
I know where this is.
West of Durham, where there's not a lot of information, but what is there, Brad said is good to go. There should be one more. Is good to go. That road was closed and vacated north of 285th, which includes the bridge, to the north side of the bridge. Now, with that being said, if that road was closed and vacated, done all the proper channels as far as the public notice and things like that, that bridge should revert to local ownership of the landowner. So now I guess that has been clarified by the counselor that that now becomes their private bridge and therefore can be taken off our National Bridge Inventory listing. And with that process, we get credit for that 72-foot span, so it'd be $72,000.
What about the bridge that used to exist?
It's still there.
It's still there.
There's a bridge here?
No, that's gone.
No. The only bridge to the left is the one you see a picture of that I've circled.
But there used to be one here,
Right.
so you
It's
don't
gone.
get, you
They
don't.
took it out when they moved the road over.
Yep.
But they had to leave one because of that little piece.
Because
of-
otherwise he'd be landlocked. So anyway, with that being said, I came back and should be a copy for everyone as well of the information for the cost share, the local bridge improvement program, and the off-system bridges. I give you a breakdown of all three, what my recommendation would be, and stuff to that effect. Awful lot of information there for you guys to look at. We don't necessarily need to discuss that right now, but if you wanted to, maybe next week, talking about the different things that we could do for the cost share, the local bridge improvement, and the off-system bridge. So, you know, like I said, we could sit here and talk about that probably for an hour or so, and so let's just give you information, we can discuss it next week, so.
Okay, give commissioners a chance to
Yes.
review it, and
Yep.
then they can have more informed discussion next week.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay. The Kansas Road project, they are supposed to be doing the drone survey on that this week. Leave it to the FAA, contractors have to file flight plans, but local guys flying don't have to. So, that being said, they have to file a flight plan to run a drone. So, we're in the process of getting that going, so start on that. I heard Friday, the contractor for the 190th, the microservicing, should be the first week of September, probably right after Labor Day. That's kind of what they're saying right now. So they're gonna start stockpiling Rockville for this week over at the airport.
No, they got delayed.
Do what?
They got delayed then. But
Yes.
Last said they were gonna be here in August.
That's what he said, possibly the last week of August, but probably the first week of September. So, but that was as of Friday.
Okay, what's the final product of that then when we're done with 190th?
The microservicing.
Yeah, what's it, are we gonna have it like what's out here at 140th, or what's it gonna be like?
No, this is heavier than a chip seal.
Okay.
It's
like an inch and a half.
Okay.
It's not gonna be that thick. It's a 3/8 inch, like a Baxter Springs chat, very, very heavy. Basically with oil in there, and it's basically put in and put down that way.
Okay.
It smooths it out, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I call it like putty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just didn't want somebody coming back in here at the end of this process and saying, we gotta do this, we gotta do that,
No.
and put more cost on us.
Yeah.
No, the only thing we'll have to do there would be just like our chip seal is stripe it this fall, which we'll have to do for our chip seals as well. So.
And this is actually cheaper than the chip seal process,
Yes.
if you contract it.
Yeah, I mean, very, very comparable.
And that's, I think Joan and I are curious to see the result of how it.
I wanna
Right.
see it.
Compared to chip
We
seal.
actually went out last week and did some patching out there as well in some bad spots. So especially down there by the Cottonwood Bridge, it was pretty rough with those transfers, so hopefully that will help with that. Hopefully that'll help. But anyway, as things change, or if things change, I'll let you know. So.
You're still blade patching?
We are not blade patching right now because I've got guys trying to finish up 140th.
Okay.
That takes up enough guys that I really can't do both. The only reason why we blade patched Thursday is we were still trying to figure out the machine down there.
Right.
So we actually did the blade patching on Friday, and then we're back down here. So don't know for sure. Depends on trying to finish off 140th, whether we'll go back to chip sealing next week. My other thought is if I'm still finishing up putting rock down on 140th, we may go back and put in the asphalt tapers or rock tapers, whatever else, on Indigo into side roads as well as house entrances. With the big drop-offs we've got over there. So we can do that with a lot less guys than what it takes to chip seal, and then chip seal should follow right after that. So we got a lot of pretty big drop-offs over there that we had before, and now they're even worse. But so as part of what the office were trying to come up with better ways for efficiency, whatever else. I gotta give credit mostly to the office ladies. They've come up with a new computer program that we've done an awful lot of investigating with. Tremendous advantages to us, I think. So I didn't know if you guys would like to discuss this in commission meeting sometime or more of a work session. We're probably looking at 45 minutes to an hour. So kind of leave it up to you. I mean, we don't have to have it right away, but I also.
What's the program? I mean,
It's PubWorks, and it's an all-inclusive program dealing with basically our dailies. The so-called tickler is part of that. It actually has a system where the constituents can actually go onto the website and actually put in their own comments with our maps as to things like that. It has a program, or the part of that program, it actually refers that back here, and then we turn around and assign it to whoever it may be, the Culver crew, whatever else, and then an email is responded back to them about that. It is used by several large counties in Kansas right now. One of them, Riley was one of them. Lyon County was another one. Everybody really, really likes it. Like I said, I think, and part of the reason we're looking at too is we don't know how much longer our STAR program is going to be around. The STAR program, the last update I believe was in '04. And yeah, and well,
you pay an annual
yes,
maintenance on that.
yes. And the other one of the bad things about it too is any updates have to be sent through Lloyd for our security system to go back here. This is all cloud-based. So again, I think it's very, very a positive thing to look at. So I just
figures. Do you have anything like that?
yeah, we've got a spreadsheet for all that. Like I said, I just spend more time just concentrating on that at one time. So like I said, whether you want to do it during commission or a work day or whatever else. So.
You mentioned that large counties have that. Did it cost an extra employee for that?
No, and actually, most of the people have said it actually helps tremendously on that, because the other thing that is good about it is if we go to a mobile application for it, we can actually get mobile phones for the guys, smartphones, at no cost, that they can actually enter this stuff in on their own phones, or on their phones, and it's upgraded, or it's
Does it have
run.
yeah, I guess
Is this a GPS component?
Well,
with the-
yeah, there's that. You can actually go out if they've got a culvert problem, they pin it. It's downloaded. I mean, the technology is so much farther there, but yeah, like I said, with the STAR program,
What's your yearly subscription on the Star?
I want to say 3,000 to 4,000. Like I said, we've got all that
What's the
broken
yearly
down.
subscription on this?
About the same.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we could also go with iPads or smart or the Google, whatever the Android is. The problem with that is they actually cost us money, and we still have to have cell phones. Where if we went with smartphones, they're inclusive.
Right. You got your data.
Yep. Yep. So anyway,
Would commission want to do that next Monday, the 15th? Just block an hour at the end of the meeting?
Before.
Do it before or after?
Or do you want to come in the morning? You want to come in at 11 o'clock?
I don't care.
Not asking you, I'm asking the other three.
You come anytime, huh?
yeah.
I can do that.
Actually, you're supposed to be busier.
I think if you, I mean, if you would send us like some of the cost detail,
We
email that.
had talked about doing that. We just want to know when you wanted to do it, and then we'll send it to you.
And then it might not be where we need to have a work session. I mean,
I think we'll still need a work session because no matter what you're looking at,
There's lots of questions.
yes, and the financial aspects of it, things like that, so. And it may take less, we wanted to make sure to block out enough time, but
Would you prefer to do it on the morning or at the end of the meeting?
I prefer to do it at the meeting. My time schedule's getting crunched harder and harder.
Okay, so let's shoot for the end of the meeting on next.
and like I said, we'll send it
Probably
on the electronic
3:30-ish.
stuff. Yeah, okay?
Yes.
Bryce, for us old people, that you still got some grader operators right behind me, and age-wise, make the technology easy. I mean, because.
Honestly,
you know-
that's one of the questions we asked,
Yeah.
was will the old people, and they said honestly, they liked it, and the fact is that the more experienced guys actually picked it up faster than the new ones,
Well,
so.
I just got done turning in a phone that, red meters did a whole lot of things. I mean, I could do a lot of stuff on my old company phone. And I understand that's the way to go. I
Yeah.
understand that, I'm not saying it's not, but just make it so they can.
Everything's cloud-based now.
Well, and the other thing is, we can actually check daily to see if they've done that. If not, we call them and say, hey, this needs to be done. So it's kind of instantaneous.
Checks and balances.
Yep. So, but anyway, that was, I think you'd be very, very impressed with the research that essentially these two ladies have done. They've done fantastic as far as that. So we'll get that copy sent to you so you can at least look at it, have some idea what's there. And then, just let them know, we'll get some time.
Okay.
Finally, the last thing I had was we have one more rock map to come in. Hopefully by the end of the month, I'm gonna have a rock map out for bid, so we can get contract rock hauled by the end of the year.
Good.
So we've just been, hurting all the way around with stuff. So anyway, so we'll have that available. We'll send it out for bid. So I'd like to have it done, hopefully no later than the end of October. I think we'd be okay. So
Excellent.
yeah. So anyway, any other questions or anything for me?
Not seeing any. Thanks again
Okay.
for the work on the projects. There's more paving being done in Marion County this year than a long
Yeah.
time.
Yep. So okay. Thanks.
Tell you that a constituent did come in, was very appreciative of your staff in your office.
Thanks. Sounds good. All right.
Thank you, Bryce.
Yep.
Do we want to shift the ARP discussion until after, since we're just 4 minutes away from our schedule?
Sure, but I just wasn't, I know you wanted it on the agenda, but I don't know really what all you want to talk about with it or what information you want. I'm not prepared for the discussion, so I would kind of just, I left it on there for you to tell me what you want,
We'll
so.
bring that back up after we get.
Yep, sounds good.
Yes, it's a surprise.
No,
Okay. We're
no,
good.
you're invited.
So,
Huh?
We're good.
We're not, just, throwing anything at you.
Really? Commissioner Dalkey gave Road and Bridge more time, so just messed up the schedule. We'll make it work.
Which one? 7 down.
Yeah.
couple proposals in there. We got some back from Pet Carpentry to do the painting for our office remodel. That's the bid minus doing the ceiling. I'd like to go ahead and let's go forward with that.
Okay, so the first one we're looking at is the paint.
For Pet Carpentry, yes.
Yeah. Okay, questions from commission?
That's just painting over the rough stuff that we have.
That is painting the inside of the building.
Oh, walls and everything.
Yes, minus the
Okay.
ceiling.
Minus the ceiling.
Both sides.
Okay.
Yes.
And has that now.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the only bid we got for it, Steve.
That's as far as I'm aware. That's the only bit I've been told about for the painting.
Commissioner Dahlke, you have a question?
I don't remember what our original bid was. I mean, I don't.
What the original determination was that we were gonna buy paint and do it ourselves, to save cost.
Okay.
What is his second bid?
The second bid is for the asbestos removals.
Oh, okay.
Pretty cheap then, probably.
What's that?
Probably pretty cheap then.
Just to keep things separate, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the bid from Head Carpentry to paint the walls of the EMS building in the amount of $8,000.
Are we gonna have any more discussion about doing it ourselves?
I'm sure they'd welcome you helping them, but I think they're short-staffed. Is there a second? If not, the motion will die.
I'll second
It's a second by Commissioner Crowfoot. Discussion. Discussion.
I don't know, it just seems like we've got painters all over the county. I can't imagine why we only got one bid.
Yeah, I mean.
Everybody's busy. I mean, I've talked to a couple contractors about doing work at the house, and they said, if you find somebody else, great. I'm booked till next year.
I've heard that.
it. I hurt your feelings.
They, I'm still going after everything, but they're loaded.
Any other discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Motion carried 4-1. Next.
And then the next two, we have two bids. One's from Supreme Flooring in Hillsborough, the other one's from ACM Removal. They're solely in regards to the asbestos tile, removing and disposing the entire building. They're all the tile throughout the entire building. The bid for ACM is about halfway through on that first page. If you look, I'm sorry, I should have highlighted that for you.
There's I see it just,
This bid is for them to come up at two different separate times, so we can move the office stuff around. So I'm not sure if that price reflects that as well, or I didn't go into extreme details.
just making sure that licensed in doing the asbestos. So that normally is not cheap. It's normally very expensive. But I'm all for using the local guy if we can, but I just wanna make sure that it's apples to apples.
Yeah, so I called and talked to Stuart. He said he's gonna be running the HEPA vacuum, he's gonna be running air scrubbers, he's gonna wipe down everything. He contacted his, I can't remember, advisor, I can't remember what term he actually used in Wichita, in regards to asbestos removal, because there's one instance in ACM where they'll do some after the fact air sampling. So Stewart's under his advisor's recommendation that that's not necessarily warranted when they're doing this wet process. So that kind of alluded to me that he's at least reached out to someone who is very familiar with asbestos handling. So that's where we're at with Isaac.
Other questions?
Sharon moving in. the
Make a
same
motion
room.
to accept the bid from Supreme Ford Company, $2250.
Okay, motion from Commissioner Becker, second by Commissioner Garing. Discussion? All those.
Sorry, was it Mr. Gary or Mr. Wilkie?
I would.
I saw Garing.
I made the motion.
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
He can have it.
No, I just,
I'm not gonna fight him for it.
okay.
Discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Sharon will inspect on that, right? She's moving in.
Yeah. And then I think next in your packet, as we mentioned, as I spoke to you guys on Friday or so ago, a couple of proposals I'm bringing forward with you guys. This first one, I believe, if everything lined out right, should be an education proposal for EMS specific. I spoke briefly with Tina the other day, and I think she had a really good idea. If you read through that proposal, I'll explain once you get it done.
Thank you.
You're on 12-hour work shifts as is currently? Or 24 you're on shifts?
And on the education, the part that's kind of industry standard for the EMS side of things is paramedic school is very demanding, it's very time constricted. A lot of services and a lot of agencies sponsor their EMTs through paramedic school. And part of that sponsorship is that EMT is to clock in or on those days that he is scheduled to work and have paramedic program obligations. So I think, and I spoke with Tina just a brief minute of this the other day. I think it should be also countywide as you're doing an investment in your countywide employees' education, not only EMS. So if an employee attends an education while he's supposed to be on clock or clocked in or on duty, I would suggest that employee be compensated at their normally hourly wage. And then as far as the difference for EMS is that they come back from school or wherever their program obligations come back on duty.
The discussion was, I know that Chuck had mentioned, if somebody didn't follow through and you paid for their time to go to school, you're paying them while they're at school.
Right.
Try to recoup that. Well, you can't recoup that.
No.
So that's not something that you can legally do because you're paying them wages. You can't ask for those wages back.
Right.
So that was the issue that I had with the other suggestion. But there are places that do, it just depends on the culture of your organization and whether you're trying to promote that training or not, so. But it wouldn't be recoverable.
And that's why if you look at for EMS specific, the memorandum agreement for paramedic and AEMT, historically it's been certain percentages were payable back if you failed out, if you dropped the class, it would be a different percent of what you pay back. I went ahead, and this is a change, if you guys would agree with this, is if you do allow the student to clock in while they are at class on their on-duty days, that now the whole program, because you're investing your wages into that person, that whole program is now refundable if they fail to meet the certificate. Or obtain the certificate, I should say. And that refundable amount is the tuition fees and stuff like that, not the wages.
Right.
It's cost of the schooling.
Mm-hmm.
Questions?
Where's the schooling done at?
There's one in Newton, Hutch,
Okay.
Wichita, Junction City too, I believe.
It's just one of the steps that we have to take to build the service.
And I do have one student that just started a couple weeks ago that Travis had hired, and he's going to paramedic school. I have hired another female that is going to start the 24th of September. She's an EMT, and she has made expressions that she does want to go to paramedic school. Unfortunately, the paramedic school doesn't start till next August, so she'll get a year on the job, and then we'll cross that road when it comes to it in August. Again, this is just kind of a way to kind of start to farm our own and try to get some local.
Well, I guess I'm gonna try to move forward with the easiest one, being the education proposal. Is the commission ready to move forward in support of that program?
I would just say that we pay for, we send employees, full-time employees all over for education. So we're not changing too much, I don't think, from what we do already, except this is to get to higher education.
So the main difference, you know, you're sending people for like sometimes a week or specific classes for them to learn how to do more advanced things in their job, like for appraisers or whatever.
Yes.
You know, this is more, what you have never done is paid for somebody to be able to go to class, like to get an accounting degree, for example, in an office where that might be a step in their job or a help in their job. So that's the difference.
It's a higher level.
It's a higher level, right.
But
What is their
Just
schooling
like this.
consist of on these guys? I mean, are they, is it basically?
On average,
going
it's an
to college?
18-month degree. Yeah, you'll walk out with an associate's.
Associates in applied science, so that's a full-time gig. So they aren't available to actually work.
Yes and no. So again, EMS is a different animal. We're not 8 to 5. So like the EMT student that's going to paramedic school right now, he's gone on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So this month he's missing 2 work days. The rest of the month he's at work because he's on a rotating 24-hour schedule. It's not like 8 to 5.
But he comes back and sleeps at the
He comes back and
station
runs calls.
at night.
I like the way he said it.
Runs calls. Yes.
But to me, it's still the same, because just take our appraiser, she was a clerk, and it went all the way through it, learned on the job, and now she's an appraiser. And this is sort of like an AMT, started out as an just EMT, and they learned to be a paramedic, so, yeah.
And during that and into the future, we'll serve the county.
Yeah, I think we don't know the cost of the program, because it just what he said, if it's an 18-month deal, that person, you may add another $10,000 in overtime to somebody, or something like that. I don't know how much overtime you.
And overtime, technically, if you're going to school, is that hours worked?
Well, I mean, the person to replace it is what I'm saying. The person that comes in and fills that shift, you're gonna have to pay somebody overtime, aren't you?
If we get fully staffed, that's another issue.
Okay.
Depending on what avenue we want to go to on staffing of trucks. As far as the tuition and paying the tuition, there are programs like the Kansas EIG grant, which the county has used before on paramedic students and paid for that program using state monies. Average program is about $8,000 right now, and the Kansas Board of EMS will sponsor $5,000 of that, and this is a student, and that's where we can come in and recoup the county for the other 3, or we lock it in and not even use the state, we use our own funding for the total 8.
But you gotta cover that shift. That's when they're gone.
Good questions.
So,
Well, promote from within. That sounds like it. I mean,
I think it's a fair proposal.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way our department can move forward.
It shows promotion of education, continuing education in our staff. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Galkey to move forward with the educational proposal and the grant program as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Crowfoot. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
The next topic we talked about last Friday was vacation sick leave and how EMS is a different kind of animal compared to a normal 8 to 5 employee. And I tried to explain it the best the way I can using, instead of hours, I went ahead and did a 40-hour work week and days of vacation based on that as an 8 to 5 employee. So you can kind of compare them now to what, so EMS was bulked into that first one. Day off is not for us 8 hours, it's 24 hours. And so that's why I have these two proposed options. Proposal 1 is kind of consistent with how the 8 to 5 is in regards to years of service, vacation, and differentiating sick leave. Proposed option 2 is combining vacation sick leave into a paid time off status.
On your proposals, when you say a day of vacation, is a day of vacation 24 hours or 8 hours?
Depends on the proposal, that would be 24 hours.
Okay. Because on the current, a day of vacation is 8 hours, right?
Yes. No, it's based on a 40-hour work week.
Give me the pros and cons of combining sick leave and vacation into one paid time off.
Biggest pro of the paid PTO versus sick and vacation. I have people that have been on sick a lot lately. I think it would solve the issue of when people know they're on their way out to not use their sick leave since it is no longer a paid benefit. At least this way it will be all in one and it will be paid. However, if you saw that it's at the 50%, it's the same. As far as the EMS side, I didn't factor in the 8 to 5 side. That'll have another algorithm I'll have to put pen to paper on. But it's the same benefits that are going to be paid out, whether it's not, it's 100% of vacation or 50% combined vacation sick leave. That's PTO. And I think PTO, when we're at minimum staffing, if I've seen, not in this particular service department, but in other departments I've worked at, if a gentleman has paid time off, or I'm sorry, vacation scheduled, the next guy might have sick leave because he wanted that day off as well. And then so that results in a last minute phone call scrambling to try to find something, where at least with PTO, those guys that will use that sick leave as vacation, kind of puts a stop to that. And then you have more notification for overtime, or you know when somebody's not gonna be here. Cons might come from, I personally can't think of any. As far as the clerk side of things, there may be some issues on the con side for PTO versus.
I think you'd want to look at the cost of all of it, you know, in the comparison. Because of sick leave, we don't pay out sick leave when someone terminates.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Paid time off versus sick leave / vacation or whatever. You know, if sick leave is limited to certain things you can take it for, that's always a little bit more complex in tracking, where if they just take paid time off, you know, then we don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that, I think people are still gonna get sick at last minute and call in, whether they're using sick leave or paid, or PTO.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think you're always gonna have that, so I don't know that, I mean, maybe for someone who's wanting to be dishonest about it, but I think you're still gonna have those situations
Mm-hmm.
come up where it's a last minute thing.
Yeah, we don't pay PTO at the end, it's vacation days.
Right, vacations.
So what we pay out now, we do pay out accrued vacation.
You're right.
At 100%. And he's, you know,
This would be.
say
PTO
50%, but we don't pay sick leave, so it's maybe similar, just as long as,
Be 6 of one, half a dozen.
we
of
double
another.
check the legalities of everything.
Now, when you say, go back to Dave's deal, you say 5 days of vacation, so you're talking,
Oh, on the 8 to 5. So that first paragraph there, we're seeing 5 days of vacation, or are you all looking at it?
Yeah, what's that?
So that's 5 days of vacation, that's based on a 40-hour work week, so 8 to 5, 8-hour day of vacation.
right, so I mean, your 5 days of vacation, as far as a paycheck or hourly goes, are you saying that is 48 hours? Or is that 5?
Well, under the current policy, if a EMS person wants a day off, it's 24 hours, that's 3 days of vacation.
Right. But I want to make sure that we're not talking.
That's under current.
You're talking 120 hours on proposal
Right.
1, 6 days.
Yeah. And so are they getting 120 hours? Or are
That
they
would-
getting
That's what-
48 hours?
120, oh, where are you getting the 48 on?
Because you guys work 24.
Okay, I see where you're getting that.
You know,
So that second option
like
is.
your typical week, if I was gonna go to Florida, I'm gonna take a week, I need 7 days. What is that employee missing for hours for that week? Are they missing a 48-hour week? Are they missing a 72-hour
Well,
week?
Missing 2 days or 5 days.
That's where EMS
So I mean,
is a
5
different.
days is, I know what you're saying here, but it's, you gotta, I know it's a different animal, but you also gotta keep things semi-fair.
Well,
Because
and
somebody
what-
that's taking 40 hours is so they can have 7 days.
So that's 6 days of vacation on that first year of service. That's industry standard for 12 hours of vacation or accrued a month on a 24-hour work shift. So if I want to do that vacation to Florida, I want to burn 48 hours. Well, as it stands, depends on where it falls on that schedule. I want to burn 24 or 48 hours of vacation to go on a week's vacation.
Okay, so that's really what we're talking about.
Okay.
Where a normal employee would have 40 hours, EMS would need 48.
At minimum.
After you work 2 days, how many days you get off then on your schedule?
After I work 2 days.
Did
So
you say?
right now we're on a 24-48 schedule.
So you're actually putting in 72 a week. 24.
Yeah, it
48.
depends on where it lines out, but yeah.
Work.
Yeah.
Which one do you recommend?
That's the. I'll be honest, I prefer the PTO. But if it's easier as a county-wide and to keep track, that's not steer too different from what other employees are doing. If the option 1 is better for the county as a whole, I think that's fine, but I'm in preference for the PTO.
Tina, is your payroll program set up to do that?
It's nothing that we could like instantaneously change. It's gonna take, we'll have to build it, but
We don't have PTO now.
Sick leave and vacation
I mean, we can make changes. I mean, it's just not gonna be overnight.
Yeah. Well, That's all another program. Gonna cost us money
No.
for the new program.
It's just setting it up.
It's just setting
The
it up.
time of setting it up.
Right.
days or 20 days?
4 weeks.
That's what I was thinking. Now, these days that you're talking about, it's not 24-hour days, those are 8-hour days on your PTO, right?
That is 24 hours, that's based on days on a 24-hour work.
So 18 times 24 hours. That's your bottom for the PTO.
Yeah.
Math.
Yeah, this one's, I think is gonna take a minute to go through, just make sure it's straight, because everything you have, when you say days, you're saying 20.
And that's, yes, that's based on a 24-hour work day.
Yeah.
So if we do,
So it's 120 hours, 192, 240, and 288 on your hours. Versus the 40, 80, 120, and 160 dollar, correct?
Yeah.
So,
and that's PTO, and that's
well, I was
less
just
than-
doing these two. I didn't do the PTO one yet.
Current and optional hours vacation.
But again, that I can tell you what I made when I was at Wellington. I earned 7.43 hours every 2 weeks of vacation. That increased out 5 years to 8 something every 2 weeks. And then 10 years there's a bump. I never made it to that 10-year bump. Again, this is kind of going along industry standard because the way EMS is without the 24 hours schedule. Right.
You're also gonna wanna consider what this does for your other departments that aren't 8-hour shifts. Like, for instance, Sheriff's Department. They're not 24,
What
but
about
they're,
dispatchers, are they 8 or?
I need to double check that, I don't remember anymore.
They're 12.
They're 12.
But they're on, I believe that was changed to a 40-hour week for dispatch, for overtime purposes.
5 days of vacation, each day counts for 24 hours. That's just going from somebody like myself. I get 2.5 weeks off.
Again, if
Because-
I just want a Saturday and Sunday off, I have to burn, and I'm supposed to work Saturday, I have to burn 24 hours to get that Sunday off. I didn't need the week off prior, I just wanted the weekend off, but I'm still obligated to burn 24 hours of vacation. So that's where I think you're getting hung up on the longevity of how many days off, but really, if you just want one day off, it's still 24 hours.
For my thought process, I guess, where I come from is I want Marion County to be consistent or similar to surrounding services, so industry standard. Rather than getting completely bogged down in the details, it gives me some confidence if we are going to meet industry standard. And that's how where we're gonna have to recruit, and that's where we're gonna have to.
Say, that's where employment comes in.
And so that's one of the keys to resolving our employment issue is we've got to be industry standard, or at least close. We can't always meet, but at least come somewhere. If we're way below industry standard, then we've got a problem. Because then when Chuck takes applications, and that throws up a red flag.
So are most of the counties that we're competing against on PTO?
A lot of it is pay, and we'll get into that subject here later. But if we're not gonna be able to make that pay, we need to get some PTO, something else kind of sweeten the pot, if you will.
Well, I think in the end it's pay, so.
How many hours do you, if you worked your schedule year-round, like any other workers that's not on one of these kind of schedules would work 2,080 hours, most likely. close to that, how many hours would you guys work in a year on your schedule?
Well, so we're set 3 shifts, so it'll be a third of the year, and that comes to about 2,900 hours, so give or take a leap year.
See, and that's something else that you gotta look at. That's their normal yearly number of hours they work, where 8 to 5 person works 2,040 or 2,080, somewhere in that.
2080.
About 900, a third more almost.
2040.
Almost a third more time than what a normal 40-hour work person would do. Well, that's a good way to look at it, but that's the way I look at it. 'Cause
I think it is a good way to look at it. I mean, I think you need that ratio kind of.
Yeah.
To make it, to understand maybe what's
what's
fair
really-
of the number of hours you work. This is your percentage or your ratio of paid time off versus
Because I
normal
enjoyed
hours worked.
I enjoyed my 3 weeks off. I mean, whenever I got my 3 weeks vacation, I enjoyed 4 weeks off when we got that too, so I'm quite sure they would too. I mean, do that. So I have to look at that too.
Comes out to 57 hours. If you broke it down, 2,900 hours versus 2,040 hours. So the normal 40-hour week, and then you break it down, and then you multiply it back times 2,900.
It's 2,080 hours on a 40-hour week for a year.
2,000.
It's 2,080.
That's a lot more time away from home.
Yes. So it's 56 hour accumulation equivalent. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying as far as getting the standard. So proposed option number 1 is the standard.
I wrote this up last week, if I remember correctly, they mirror each other just with vacation and sick leave getting divided and having added together in the PTO. So if you look at the first year of service, that's 6 days vacation and shall obtain 6 days of sick leave per year. And then so the rest of those years of service on the PTO reflects that 6 days per year of vacation or sick leave plus the longevity years of service increase.
As far as a recruitment tool, you think the PTO would be just as good as your standard as far as competing with other counties at the job fair?
I think if you market the 50% payout at the end of the year instead of no payout for sick versus 100% payout for vacation.
You mean, oh, wait.
Yeah, so that totally, I thought you were talking about if
I
they
thought like
left.
if they termed, that you
Oh,
pay
you're
out
talking
50%.
about payoff every
You're
year.
paying them out.
No, I'm sorry. No.
And it terminated.
Yes, that's what I meant, terminated. I
I
apologize.
thought you were just saying, you didn't use your sick day, so here's half the money.
No.
That's good and bad.
I worked with a service that had a 50% payout sick leave as an incentive. But no, not for here. I think if you market it that you're gonna get paid out 50% of your entire PTO versus upon termination, versus no sick leave payout versus 100% of vacation.
Yeah,
I think it's a marketing
Because it
thing.
costs you money for the take PTO.
Well, yeah.
So you're saying from a marketing point of view, neither one is probably outweighs the other.
No, it's going strictly off of what's more appealing to someone to look at and says, hey, I can get, my first year service, I can get 12 days of PTO versus I get 6 days of vacation. But you also get 6 days of sick leave. But the 12 days of vacation seems more appealing. And at the end of the day, it's the same number, just split up differently.
But we don't pay sick leave.
No. No,
Not on
but.
termination.
No, I mean,
We
you
have,
pay sick day.
yeah,
Okay. So it's not.
they get a day of sick leave every month, so they're getting 12 days of sick leave. But there's a limit, there's a cap on it. And that's the thing about PTO, I mean, on sick leave, you can cap it and people can build up to 6 months of sick leave if they're not using it. And the reason behind that is because that's when CAPER's long-term disability kicks in after that amount of time. So if somebody's truly utilizing it to kind of help them if they come into a situation where they have a health problem, you can't really do that with PTO because you want people to use that. You don't want that just sitting up there accumulating. And we have a cap on vacation too, of 160 hours. So when 4 weeks, you have to use that every year once you're to that level, or you don't accrue anymore.
When I started here, there was some older road and bridge employees. We have a pretty big department in the gap there that they'd saved up for their time, sick time and all that. You had to account for that in the yearly budget, so in case all of them used it, you gotta have money for it. And so anyway, there was pretty hefty payouts for people to walk off at that time, and they got paid their sick leave at that time.
But we only ever paid 20% of sick leave, even then, 20% of that balance. And now we don't pay anything out for sick leave when people leave. Where, yeah, 20%.
Got some staff watching you.
So I will say that the PTO, I did list a cap of 36 days, which comes up to 864 hours cap of the PTO.
Now, if you stay at somewhere around $15 an hour, well, even if you take that times 15, if you take it times 18, if you take it times 20, I just figured up what I give up out of my here just last month or last week, and signed a little paper for my PTO, and it was surprising what sick leave, I guess, not PTO, excuse me, sick leave. They didn't pay a thing. They didn't pay
Well, it definitely does need to be looked at because, like what Chuck was saying, if you just take off 1 or 2 days,
You're not reaping the benefit
right.
of the Thursday, Wednesday, when you don't need the Thursday, Wednesday, but if you want Sat Friday off,
Right.
there's no benefit to it. I mean, that you're needing.
It's just determining the number of hours that's fair.
Are we getting any consensus on the commission, or still a lot of
I think,
puzzled looks?
even though we're talking dollars and cents, we still need to look at it because 36, you just said 36 maximum cap
For the PTO option.
for PTO. If you go as high as the director, would be the same policy, correct?
Well, the director will be an 8 to 5 employee, so it'll revert back to the normal standard.
Okay,
Yeah, they're also salary.
salary.
Yeah, so this will only affect the EMS staff on the ambulance.
Tina, were there other concerns that you had?
Not really. I mean, I think that when you're looking at this, you also do need to kind of pay attention to your 12-hour shift folks at the same time, you know, but it's not as impactful to them as it is to the EMS with the 24-hour shifts. It is somewhat impactful, but not as much. And they do most of their time off with scheduling anyway, because their overtime period is different, and, you know, so there's a lot of the people on 12-hour shifts that never have to use any leave because of the way they're scheduled.
Sure. You have so there's the other shift too. You got 24, 48, and then you got, what was it, something 96?
48, 96.
How does that play into this?
6 it does. Where so the difference between 48 and 96 is really
Right. But I mean, your vacation days, so that would be a week, 6 days, 96.
24 hours.
96
Well,
is
not
what?
20.
So you're saying 96, go ahead and finish.
For the 48, 96 is yes, the employee is going to have to burn more vacation to get something off in a long term. I'm gonna rephrase that. The way I envision this 48, 96 working is it's going to be 2 consecutive 24-hour shifts, and then you're going to have 96 days off. So, I'm sorry, hours.
Like one.
No.
See you in 2 years.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
So it's going to give that employee an option to either take the 1 day or 2 days off, 24 or 48 hours off, versus the 24, 48. It's going to be more bang for your buck, I guess you could say. Because if you are looking at something like, say you want to go on a cruise, you're going to use 48 hours of vacation or PTO, and then you're going to get, this is where the planning portion of it comes in. You got to work around your work schedule. You're going to get the 4 days off on the back end, 4 days off on the front end, and then you're going to kill 48 hours of vacation to get your week and a half off. Now again, that comes back to say if you're just wanting the Friday off, you're still gonna have to burn off 24 hours of vacation. But again, it's another reason why I wanna go to the 48, 96 work week, because it's gonna cut your fuel in half and it's gonna give you more bang for your buck on your vacation.
Since you brought up the 48, 96, question's been raised, that'll be voluntary. Or are you intending to force employees to go to 48, 96?
I have all but one employee that is in favor for the 48, 96, or all that are either in favor or indifferent on the 48, 96. Option would be to run a 48, 96 hour truck out of Hillsborough, 24, 48 truck out of Marion. The problem with that being is if I get an influx of EMTs or paramedics that say, yes, I want to do the 48, 96, and then now it's going to be
the schedule.
It's going to be, both stations are going to be a 48, 96 hour service.
Can you do a hybrid schedule, or does that get too complicated?
That's getting into, that's going to be a very complicated situation. Because you'll have to have, since we run 3 shifts, you'll have to have 3 individuals that are willing to be on that hybrid schedule, because they'll be relieving each one of each other.
So your vision really is to go to the 48, 96. Okay.
And not to put the cart before the horse here, but I do have some friends. EMS is a very tight-knit community. I do have some leads on several paramedics. If we can get these things changed, get us onto a 4896, that they'll be applying. Now, it's all fine and dandy for them to say, yeah, I'll apply, versus show up in uniform. It's a total different situation. But there is, from the people I've reached out to, there is a lot of interest in the 4896 hour shift outside of our agency.
Okay, on your 36 days, is that a breaking a code, a rule, a law, labor law probably, I wouldn't mind taking the 36 days, but paying 8 hours a day for that, pay.
So
That cuts you out of 2/3 of your, 2/3 of that. I mean, when would we pay this for this 36?
the 36 would be your cap, your cumulative.
Okay.
So once you earn that much, you can't earn anymore.
Yes.
You
Okay,
have
so-
to use it or you lose it.
Yeah.
So then if they quit, resign, whatever, that would revert to me, just asking, could it revert to 8 hours a day? Then you're reasonable.
Well, the way he's
got
got
it,
it would
it's
be
50%.
50%, so
50%.
instead of 8 hours, it would be.
Okay.
18 days.
Okay. I didn't figure out 50% deal.
It's confusing.
I don't know.
And not to throw another wrench in, I mean, at some point, whether it be interim, myself or whenever you hire the new director, I think that they need to sit down with Tina and kind of go through the employee manual, because there's a couple things I want to just notice the other day, is that it's the sick leave, you have to work 12 shifts a month to accrue sick time. We don't work 12 shifts a month, we're 9 to 10 shifts a month, based on, because we're a 24-hour service. So just there's like little things like that I'd be more than happy to sit down, or if you want to wait till a full-time director, to kind of go through those little quirks that got overlooked.
Probably ought to be corrected now. I mean, start working on it.
I'm sure he's.
I got my plates.
Yeah.
Half the stuff's on the floor right now, so if you want me to, I will. But
You're going on a diet.
Yeah, we know that there are some things that in the next manual need to be updated, but that manual was put in place before we had a full-time EMS. So.
I think we need to move forward on these proposals, not wait on a full-time director.
Which proposal?
Let me make motion.
Which proposal?
Proposal number 1.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Commissioner Becker to move forward with EMS vacation sick leave proposal, option number 1, as presented. Is there a second? I'll second it. Any other discussion? I know it's been confusing. Travis worked several days over the years trying to, we never got across the finish line.
Well, this is kind of industry standard. We've got to get up to industry standard if we're going to have a service. Right now, we're in a bind. So to say, yeah, let's wait on this 2 or 3 weeks, no, not my point of view.
Yeah, pay is gonna
This
be
is
a lot.
just one of the areas that has to be addressed, so we can get people working for us.
Gotta have a recruiting tool.
And it's simply under the way the schedules are, the 24-hour schedules, this is a more fair schedule. Any other discussion? If not, I'm gonna call the question. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 5-0. Well, Chuck, that was a major accomplishment.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next one I have in your packet should be the hospital assist policy. That number is based on our ALS emergent rate, which is currently 700. This will be if they call us to provide CPR, provide airway management, things of that nature. that last sentence in there, no assistance fee shall be billed to EMS crew stay after transfer of care. I threw that in there because I feel like if we bring in someone who's very unstable and we need to go to the local hospital to get them stabilized, I don't think it's fair to the hospital that we bill them to stay in health. I think we just bill if they call up and say, hey, come help at this point.
Right.
So that
was my understanding, so thank you for making it clear.
Any questions, discussion? If not, I'd move to approve the hospital assist policy. Second by Commissioner Dahlke. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
So this is the transfer policy that last Friday I brought to you, minus the fee. So that, those last two sentences, I'm sorry, paragraphs, are what I had added, which includes that fee total.
I know that the policy then in general limits to 60-mile radius, but it also says further distances considered on an individual basis. Is that right?
It says all transfers.
Will not exceed the distance. All transfers from those in our county be considered on an individual basis. Okay, so it comes back to there are no transfers over 60 miles.
So yes, so that sentence is right before that, will not exceed the distance over a 60-mile radius of local hospitals. All transfers from other facilities, all transfers from facilities other than those in our county. So like Wichita coming back, all within our county will be considered on an individual case-by-case basis. So that's if we need to go get somebody that's in like St. Francis and bring them to the swing bed. That's the case-by-case issue.
But you won't go to Kansas City.
At this time, that's what we're at with that 60-mile radius. If we can, go ahead.
Could we add any verbiage to that at full staffing levels, we would consider transfer?
Outside the radius.
As a 911 or as a scheduled transfer?
Well, okay, maybe you better enlighten me again.
So
the hospital calls you and said we need to go to Topeka.
Mm-hmm.
Is that 911? Are they going through 911? Or are they calling you direct?
They are going through Mission Control, which puts in a ball in motion for our dispatch. So they call Mission Control, and they put it into the computer that they need to transfer a patient from X facility to X facility. Mission Control then calls the nearest transporting agency. So in this case, for us, it's Marion County EMS. That's we're the only ambulance type service in the county. It calls the nearest one first, so that would be us. So they call our dispatch. Our dispatcher gets the information from Mission Control, and then dispatch contacts us through our radios. So that is not what most people consider 911. That is through our 911 dispatchers. Those are the ones that take the phone calls. That is not a 911 emergency. And I think that's where there might be some confusion. We as EMS are not obligated to go to the hospitals and transfer patients. We are obligated to answer a public call, which is the 911 emergency line. So if I call and dial 911, and that steamrolls into duty to act, and that's where the legalities of us being a 911 service having to go to a hospital and say, we do not need to go into this facility to take this transfer, because we are not bound by, we are bound by public call and not by the facility.
Kinda like Ken, they hate to put up walls that we will not.
At this time, I will tell you that right now we have one paramedic on duty up in Hillsborough, and that's Travis. We have 2 AMTs in Marion. At 5 o'clock tonight, there will be no paramedic on duty. There will be, I shouldn't say that. I'll probably stay over and work tonight. That was another ball wax. So to pull our not put a hard line on it at this time until we get fully staffed. If we can get the vacation fixed, I mean we got all that fixed. If we can go on to the next hurdle, get paid, get a truck, which is Travis's envision, and is also I mirror that, an ALS truck in Marion, an ALS truck in Peabody, and an ALS truck in Hillsborough. Then I think we can reevaluate that 60-mile line. As long as we can try to keep 2 ALS trucks within reason. I mean, you might have a swamp with 911 calls,
Yeah.
but at least have 2 ALS trucks for 911 calls, and we can utilize one of the other vehicles as a transfer truck. And then at that point, that's 60 miles. There are some other factors that we can look in, safety factors, weather, time, distance, and start scheduling transfers beyond that 60 mile. But for the time being, I think that's the 60 mile to just for turnaround time to get a truck back into the county to provide 911 coverage. I think that's what we have to do with that 60 mile.
So, and I understand that, and if I understand you right, the hospitals are the ones, they make the call to find the bed.
Yes, our only role in an interfacility transfer is to show up at their request, which we are not obligated to show up to their ER or to their hospital facility and take a patient that they've requested us to another facility.
Because we've had this issue where the hospitals have told us there's no bed available in Wichita. And my question is, I mean, I'm not questioning them, but I'm just thinking about, I'm not even thinking about Hutchison or some of the others that are on the list. But we've got more than just Wesley and Via Christi in Wichita. And I'm sure those are the 2 top ones they call. I just want to make sure they're calling every hospital down there.
It's Mission Control that's actually figuring out, right? Which
Mission Control does have an option to find bed placement. However, I do not know if St. Luke and Hillsborough utilize that option of Mission Control.
So is that a cost to them to utilize?
No, it's a
That's a free, that's the bottom of the Kansas Department of Health.
Yeah, I'm sure they're using it.
But I can't allude to what the hospitals are doing,
Because,
who they're contacting.
you know, there's facilities in Hillsborough that have been expanding like crazy. St. Joe Kansas Medical Center, Andover's doing everything. You got another, we've transferred
It's a
before
major
to
hospital.
Derby, which is part of one of the other systems, I think. I just,
Where my wife goes when she has heart attacks is Andover.
and you know, I'm sure that, you know, there's somebody that's calling. I just don't want those options to be left out if the 2 major hospitals in Wichita says we're not, and then all of a sudden we're called, Topeka says we do.
Again, if my long-term goal, again, interim, and I'm hopefully the next director will have that same thought process, is that we use these 3, we get 3 full-time trucks, and one of them will be a transfer truck, if you will.
Right.
At that point, like I said, we schedule these long distance ones. I mean, McPherson has a policy to where there's a 65 miles radius, and everything outside of that, they go through a criteria, a checklist of what can and cannot go based on many factors. So if we go along that route, then we go along that route, but I think for the time being, just to get a truck to turn around, because if we get rid of this 60-mile radius and I don't stay on and work tonight, you have one transporting truck in the county. I'm sorry, two. We had an individual, one of our volunteers in Peabody, injure themselves. That truck is non-operational today, and it won't be for a while until we have medical clearance. So to get rid of that 60-mile, and we say St. Luke calls and wants to transfer it to Topeka, you have one ALS unit going, well, you won't have an ALS unit because there's no paramedics on after 5 if I don't stay. We're in a dire situation. To get rid of that 60-mile, I think just a sheer turnaround to get a
Is
truck
the line
back.
included in the 60 mile?
Well, if you could, trying to thread the needle here, right?
You need to keep the 60 miles, but it needs
But
to,
we'll keep
wording
it-
says we think about it.
Well, and that's where I was going with this, was more of a, along the lines, if we could pull together a volunteer run, that you could look outside that 60.
Another recruiting topic would be off-duty personnel. To do an off-duty transfer, you'd have to look at doing some kind of bonus to get them to come in. If we're going to be billing the hospitals directly,
You're still running the truck, you're still using the supplies.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's volunteers, it's still,
well, I'm just saying.
it's still billable.
Yeah, so if you want to go down that route of pulling in off-duty people to come in and take a transfer, these long-distance transfers, I think you do need to look at doing some kind of bonus, and I think it's going to be kind of hefty.
What, you keep saying off-duty instead of volunteers?
Well, we have no volunteer. I mean, we
You're not
have.
gonna get a volunteer to go on a.
You might get it one every once in a while, but
You used to have volunteers.
We don't anymore. Very
In
good.
trouble now.
I especially do not wanna go on an 8-hour trip.
You got me
See, so I
licensed
have-
too.
I have 2 EMRs that are functional in Peabody right now, and I have 3 volunteers in the northern part of the county that are functional, waiting on a 4th one to get medical clearance. Come school season, it'll be back down to, we have one that works as a secretary for a school system. I don't think you're gonna be able to get very many. You might get a volunteer.
Could be.
But if we look at a transfer bonus, and then I say off-duty personnel, if we include all of off-duty and volunteers to say this is a flat rate, here's a bonus, we got one going from HCH to Stormont Vale. We have if we can develop a list of, like a revolving list, so it's just not the same person getting the option to turn it down. The thing is you're gonna have to come up with a fee or a bonus on what that number is, and I think it's gonna be hefty, and if we make it available to all volunteers and full-time to come in off-duty, that could be an avenue.
What's
We also
hefty?
need to pay attention to labor laws, because if you're using somebody that's subject to overtime, that structure,
Yeah.
we would have to make sure that it's appropriate to be able to do that.
So it'd be more, almost be limited to a volunteer run.
Not necessarily, but we would just, I need to be able to research that to make sure that we can do it legally.
So, and what I would be looking at is, if you're a bonus to get somebody, because we only have a handful of people that live in county. To get somebody to come in from Wichita to take a transfer to wherever, Kansas City, I think you're gonna be looking at several $100s as a transfer bonus per technician.
That comes back to, I know none of us like the 60-mile limit. But under the conditions, I
I think the interim director's got a point. We've got to draw a line. Now, that does not mean when we get staffing, we don't reevaluate.
No, that's why I asked if there could be a verbiage put it in there that we would consider at full staff.
We just make it easy, if we get to full staffing, we will reevaluate the policy on that.
Well, I just, some type of verbiage that would at least be open-ended to where we, at some point, can do it.
Yeah.
We can think about it.
And I realize it all comes down to numbers. It's a numbers game. We got enough people, and we got a truck available, we can do it.
I mean, would that just be simply a policy reevaluation when we get full staff?
Yeah.
And we
Could-
just
could be.
rewrite it at that point?
Just so that verbiage is there that keeps that open-ended for us. And, the public looks at it too. So.
Well, I think that's only fair, once, if we attain full staff, that we can look at things in different.
Does that sound?
Yeah, I think if from what I'm understanding, you're okay with this as it sits, but right now, when we go to full staffing, we reevaluate the policy.
Can we put that verbiage in there, that it would be reevaluated at full staffing?
Yeah.
Just so that it is part of the policy.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to have it in the policy as far as if you do wind up with some.
Well, if we
volunteer-
revise it, we can take that part out, but I think the public needs to know that we're working toward that.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, as far as what I brought up about volunteer, there didn't need to be any verbiage in there. I mean, if you were able to pull that together, it's something you could do, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
I will vote to approve it with that additional verbiage.
The verbiage would be to reevaluate the policy at
At
full
full
staff.
staff.
And is full staffing 3 full-time ambulances or 2 full-time ambulances?
That would
Just gonna
be
throw
my,
it
I
up.
mean, if you wanna reevaluate it like that, then yes, I think you would have to look at when we've got 3 full-time, 3 trucks that you can be guaranteed.
I could live with 3.
Okay.
So you're talking 9 staff units. Right? At 20, no, you.
3 staff units.
Yeah, cause you're 24 hour.
So is that a motion, Commissioner Becker?
That'd be my motion to accept the transfer policy with the additional verbiage that the policy will be reevaluated at staffing levels that are consummate to that service.
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Any concerns with that?
My only concern would be that the definition of 2 trucks versus 3 trucks, what's your definition of staff?
Well, and the motion said consummate, so that doesn't really help me either.
We've got to give as much leverage to the director as we can. I don't want to take any power out of the director's hand.
That still seems pretty open-ended to me.
The next director might say 4 or 5 trucks, 6. What?
Do you see a huge increase in population?
No, I'm just saying, but you're leaving it up to the discretion rather than putting something concrete.
All right, we've got the motion on the table. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion
Did
carried.
someone second?
Yes, Commissioner Baldwin.
Thank you.
Sorry.
He waved his hand.
That's all right.
That's all right. I just kind of lost track. for a second.
And then you might provide us each a copy when that's revised.
Now here's the big packet. Did Sherry or team get you guys a copy of the payroll?
I don't know what options you want.
let's,
But it's all right. I'm just gonna get this put together here because
we're gonna have, is this an exec? Is
this is
personnel?
all, no, it's wages. It's not specific to any person's performance at this point, so. It's just budget numbers. So no, it's not executive. Now, if there's something that you need to talk about that's specific to an individual, you know, you could do that first and then come back out and talk the general, the general information, but you can't talk general information in
Yeah,
executive.
I think we can, I can keep it in the general sense.
Okay, as long as you do that, then we'll.
Yeah, I think I
Okay.
should be able to.
All right.
So if you look on all these short pages that have these kind of boxes on it, in the top right, there's a notification, explanation. Some say original budget, no changes. Some say mid-step.
So it's a gray box.
Some say
that's-
3
with an
trucks.
explanation of
Yeah.
each scenario.
Right there, get your paperclip. There you go. And that's what I'll be using to reference which packet we're in. So I believe that first one that says original budget, no changes. That's where we're at as of today for the proposed for the proposed 2023 budget. We scroll through my end goal, what I would suggest for Marion County. If you go through to where it says 3 trucks. 3 trucks, 9 paramedics, 9 EMTs, and the director at Med Grade. That's from one end of the spectrum to where I think Marion County should be at this end of the spectrum. With going into the weekend, we had a couple options based on full truck statuses. Coming out of the weekend with the recent injury and that truck no longer being active, I think it just highlights our volunteers are getting some age on them. Not to call them old, not to call them anything like that, but it's the facts are the facts. A small injury can take a long time to heal and replace. Going forward, that's my goal, is to staff a Peabody truck as full-time. And that's what this budget shows. And then if you look at the employee breakdown, that top employee, I think, is the realistic number to get somebody in here that's high on this pay scale. The pay plan. Those numbers for the hourly wages for the paramedics and EMTs are still below kind of market value, but they are close. And those hourly wages are based off the pay plan hourly wages. So if Sherry was able to get you the 2022 budget estimates, that should be a small box. Yep.
In the next packet?
Into the next packet.
Okay.
That kind of gives your breakdown for what I have left over for the rest of the year. Which, if you look at that 3 trucks, That's what it would take for the rest of the year.
That's a negative number, that 312.
I'll have to get with Cherry. I just saw this one this morning, so I'm not exactly sure exactly how that breaks down.
I wonder if it's the third truck in Peabody.
As soon as I can get staffing for it.
I know. We've got one now.
There is a volunteer truck in Peabody who we had an individual get injured off duty. The only two volunteers I have in Peabody right now are EMRs. I need to have a minimum of an EMT on the truck to make it a transport
We don't
truck.
have full-time.
Well, there's no EMT. The certification levels don't meet the state minimum standard.
But an EMR can drive.
They can drive as long as there's an EMT or above in the back.
In the back, yes.
So if we can look at that third truck option, we're gonna struggle to try to get 2 trucks staffed. We have the facility over in Hillsborough to house a third person. So if we can start going down the route of, I don't wanna say stockpiling medics until you can get a Peabody truck up and running, but we do have that option to continue with that 705 chase vehicle, even though that we may have Brian available to drive if that 705 paramedic was able to get down there. But long-term goals, and I think that's where you need to start looking at, is that we staff that Peabody truck as a full-time truck.
And that falls under the 3 trucks.
Yes. That 3 trucks is our long-term goal.
Right.
What I'd like to see implemented in the next year.
You get that going, and then we come back and look at the policy to see how we set it up
for transfers. So if we get those 3 trucks, I think we can get it done.
So how do we get there?
Well, you saw the numbers.
Gotta get bodies first.
Well, if we get the numbers up and we got the vacation and sick leave things addressed, I can start getting a little bit more proactive, because now I can go out and say, hey, this is what we finalized, this is what I can say we are going to give you now, instead of, this is what we have now and I'm trying to get things changed. I now have a definitive point. I've got some phone calls to make. Like I said, I can't make any guarantees. It's all a thought, but until they're in here with a uniform on, I can't make, it's all words for them right now, is what I'm trying to say. But this will be a start. I do have another first responder that is going through as an EMT that is going through paramedic school. I could try to reach out to her. I have a couple other paramedics from other counties that I'm working on. One of them interested in the director's position.
But that 312,000 is what we're going to end up short. If you accomplish that by December, we'd be 312,000 short.
From my understanding, again, I think that's what, I just got these ones in today from Sherry.
Okay.
I believe that's what that shows. I'll have to ask.
I'm just figuring that's what it is.
again, I don't, as much as I would like to hope, I don't see us getting that Peabody truck fully staffed for a while. I mean, we're short 6 paramedics, and now we're gonna be looking at hiring 3 more on. I think it's gonna sit for a little bit. So it's not gonna be a tomorrow. I mean, I can pray and hope it will be.
Yeah.
But to be realistic, you're looking at probably 6 months or so before we can get that Peabody truck
You would have
operation.
that one person on shift, even to get to, if you got 6 and then the 7th one was to go to Peabody, why, if you get that one person on there, you know, where you can, if we have a driver,
Mhm.
would be maybe a plus.
So the short-term goal is to get the medics in to staff Marion and Hillsborough.
Yeah.
With a long-term goal, and since I know the budget for 2023 hasn't been approved yet, it's been proposed to look at 2023 to staff that Peabody truck.
Budget, no, 2023 budget's already out for revenue neutral.
We can still shift internally.
Yeah, because that's general fund.
Yeah, I think we can.
But we haven't officially finished out the budget. We've set our mill
I
levy.
think we can revise that
We
budget.
can still shift internally.
Yeah.
While we've locked in place.
But we can't go for any more, and you're talking.
We'd have to
No,
cut
we
it
have
up
to-
2 extra mills.
We just have to move money.
No, we'd move money, just like Ken said. Something else would be coming.
Move money around or pay it out of ARPA.
The ball wax.
And that's 100, based on your figure, 166,000.
166.
That's what we budgeted.
166 over.
Yeah.
That's for the 3 trucks.
Right, but you got the other additions too.
Well, okay, yeah.
I mean, we're getting closer to 300.
Yeah.
That 166 just on payroll services. I understand it's not an easy topic.
The other option is to hire a service, but that's not
That's what it
not
really
long
was.
term realistically, to have a service
And
in
that's
this
an
county.
expensive service.
This is by far cheaper option.
Does Newton cover Peabody if we don't have a truck down there?
As far as I'm aware, we do not have a mutual aid agreement with any of our surrounding counties. However, EMS historically as a whole, we are more than welcome to go help anybody that needs help. So again, it's something that either I could start, or if you want to wait off for the full-time director, some kind of get that mutual aid agreement established.
You
So
got
if-
all kinds of mutual aids with the fire. Seems like
We're just trying to maintain a 911 service at this point.
We're no close to.
I don't know if we want to.
Need to be close to Peabody, Burns.
Well, I was just thinking
Butler
about
County.
Peabody in short term, they don't have a truck down there to cover.
Yeah, that's never happened anytime there's been any major incidents, and it's any surrounding county,
Yeah.
respond.
Mhm. But if we're thinking long-term, there's gonna be some conversations that I'm gonna have to have with Frank and Chief down in Newton.
See, they cut
Draw
that out,
one person.
if some of you remember, they cut it out when Gossel was so close to Newton. And Gossel for the home used to always call Newton, and they finally said, Hardin County said, no. You know, that's it, because they was spending quite a bit of time out of their city.
Sure. All right, a lot of grim looks. Having a hard time reading, Commission. What questions do you have? What concerns? Anyone with direction?
Study this.
we haven't budgeted for it, and it's gonna be pretty tough to move that much money around.
Well, yeah, yes and no. We haven't budgeted that. Also, being short-staffed, we have over-budgeted.
Yeah, there's personnel funds.
Right, from that.
I would sort of say that our goal is what Chuck said a while ago, Marion Hillsborough to get back to full truck staffs.
That's our first goal.
That's our first goal. Second goal maybe is the third truck,
Yep.
see how we can get it on.
Absolutely.
And then look at that. But we want to shoot for them too. Was that what he was coming up with, 166 or so? Or?
Well, that was just,
That's just
The
payroll.
166
That
was payroll
That
service
didn't
differences
include
for
benefits.
3
Okay.
trucks.
Yeah.
benefits, push it up.
312.
Yep. Maybe eat a lot of soup and beans. Like you said, Ken, you can come up with 300,000, something's gotta go. Somewhere. You won't have to.
You know, and there's other pieces that fall into place too. The more staff you get, the more transfer you can take, the more finance you can bill for.
True.
Ability to make more money.
But then you also can readdress your 60 miles. You just have a fee that hires Eagleman, and you're done.
So if we think that it's gonna be a one-time hit to the budget, even though there's probably a bigger budget going on, what caused our issue?
Not keeping up.
COVID probably, because didn't it dictate salaries really jumping?
A little bit, but COVID just took a burning service and just threw some gas on it. Nationally, EMS has been trending downwards for years with COVID, people burning out and then coming out of COVID. Well, I shouldn't say coming out of COVID. Hospitals hiring paramedics in to work because of the nursing shortage. It's just a trickle down and
But
finally.
from our point of view, the people that are leaving our service aren't retiring.
No, they're
It's
taking,
all salary.
it's all payroll elsewhere.
So our job is to keep up with the marketplace. Our challenge is to keep up.
We either have to or we're not gonna have service,
We're not gonna have service.
period. At that point, the hospitals would have to say, well, we gotta have our own or we gotta contract it all. That's how it started.
Yeah. So we've looked backwards, now let's look forwards.
I think the long-term goal is to you look at that 3 truck option and keep that in mind, but realistically, that payroll won't be there for a while until they get the paramedics in.
Plus, how many people wanna really relocate to Marion County if we don't have an EMS?
Well, and one thing about changing the shift structure to the 48, it does make it more attractive for the ones that drive. And pros and cons to that, but in the short term, we've got to get people.
Cut your travel costs.
That's the whole game right now.
And 30 days from now, it'd be maybe the quickest you could hire somebody. I mean, you're looking at, I don't know how quick somebody may come. Maybe it's quicker than that, I don't know.
Hopefully, but I can't, no promises.
Yeah.
If you get the.
Well, like Chuck said, right now, he's in flux. He can't really
Yeah.
even interview or offer because he.
Yeah.
Until we get all this in place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't give hopes and thoughts
No.
as a job offer.
Nope.
I don't think we have any choice. If we want a service, we're gonna have to provide the funding.
Is the commission ready to move forward?
I know we've talked about this ARPA money, talked about it and talked about it, and we've already pretty much spent it in our minds. But what's more important?
That's,
What's
it'll,
the
it'll,
priority?
it'll help us short term. Long term, we've still got to,
Sure.
we can build our budget.
Right, but right now, we're in emergency mode.
We are definitely in crisis.
Just for general consensus, is everybody sort of leaning toward raising it up to these kind of wages? If so, I'd make that motion to go ahead and go to the dedicated wages there that he presented of 1948.
Okay, you have a motion from Commissioner.
Paramedics, yeah. Can't remember what page that's on, what page is it? No, not the 3-truck one, just the. Yeah, I got too many here, but I think it was back here in 1948.
I know we're still working on it.
You're gonna have to, that's not gonna be just like that, right?
1526 for EMTs. That says Bs, no.
Yes, it's EMT. It says EMTB, but it's,
Okay,
we're now known as EMTs, yes.
Bs, okay. That's my motion for those two, and then EMTA, or AEMT would be a little higher.
Okay, you're gonna have to clarify that first. Are you kind of mixing, or are you taking,
No, I'm taking what's there.
you're taking the proposal as presented?
Yeah, but it don't have A's on there.
I'll
does it?
show you just one second.
Oh, the next one does 1681.
Yes, that's.
Making a motion, so we're trying to figure out which one.
Yeah. It's in progress.
Here, I'll make the motion. Here's the pay scales for the EMT.
The 12 step.
This is the AEMT.
Okay.
It's gonna adjust the whole thing.
And this is the paramedics.
Okay, I've got it for you now. 1948 is for the paramedics. 1681 for the AEMTs, and 1526 for the EMTs. That's my motion.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a motion from Commissioner Dalton. It wasn't a motion. I know everyone, it's been stressful, but, motion from Commissioner Dalton has been heard. Is there a second?
Also.
Second by Commissioner Becker. Discussion?
No. So what step is this gonna put them in on the big one? I mean, I know what step it puts us in. The old one. But that pretty well.
John, you wanna look at that?
Yeah, no, I've got it. That's step 12. I mean, where do you go from there? Because that's, right
The
now,
only
our
way
pay
you're
plan.
moving is if you do cost of living and all the ranges move. If you're at the top step, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just more of a question for thought.
Won't be addressed down the road.
So right now, you just maxed out that whole department.
Right. Probably rebuild the pay.
For the pay plan for those. Those are all.
What's your other choice then?
You're the ones that's on the
No,
staff.
I'm just saying.
No, we
Yeah,
know
it'll
that.
go right to that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a direct rate right there.
Okay, other questions?
My only discussions that I'd have to ask you is, would you bring everybody in at that rate, or would you have a base, would you like a basic at it?
Well, we currently still have this pay plan, so he could still bring them in.
Well, that's,
The pay plan.
okay, that's what I'm just giving him
I
some.
mean, I doubt.
And
That's not what he's.
that's not my goal. Yes, I would bring everybody in, starting at that.
If they're accredited, experienced.
If they're,
They have to be.
Because there still is some value. I mean, if somebody's been around, knows your back roads, they know which roads not to take when they're wet, they know.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have a higher value than just the guy you bring in, even though you're trained evenly. I know you say that, but.
no, I understand, but this number is to get someone that's brand new into the door. This is not to include experience. This is just to get some new people that have never ran a call into our service.
The guy working the night, he's not gonna get a pay raise?
He'll get bumped up to this.
Okay,
That's what I'm understanding.
Yes. But then you've got a whole new ball of wax when you hire your first new guy, and everybody's like, well, I've been here for 5 years, and I'm getting paid the same.
it's just the way it is nowadays, it's the market.
I've seen some places do it, and
I know
they
we
quit.
want to pay somebody 10 or 15,000 to run a cost benefit analysis and get it to us in the next 90 days, when we might be out of business. I mean, realistically, that's what ought to be done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, any other discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Just for clarification, that's just for current wages to come up. Does that include expanding the staff roster to include a new truck being developed?
I heard it was for recruitment.
It's just recruitment's well.
Okay.
And so.
And the
Okay.
goals.
I just wanted some clarification, make sure I wasn't trying to build up a larger roster.
Now we're gonna have to do something. We'll jump off that bridge, I guess, down the road.
And I'm gonna need probably 15 minutes of executive session to go over an incident that happened, if that's okay?
Okay, would that be personnel?
Personnel.
All right, I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss personnel performance pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel performance with Chuck, Commission, Tina, go in at 3:50, it'll be 15 minutes, come out at 4:05. Second. Second by Commissioner Gary, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. We will be back at 4.
Before Chuck's gone, though, I think as a commission, we need to thank these people that are working extra to keep our service going.
I have some people that are on duty they'll be here more than they'll be at home.
I got people on duty for 20 hours. I know what you're saying.
96, got you beat.
Tina, you're on her. That's what I can do. It's not a rush. She'll tell you what I'm talking about.
Are we done?
This conference will now be recorded.
We're out of executive session, no decisions made. Okay, anything else, Lars?
I think today's good for me.
Enough for one day? I think so. Well, we don't have as much homework for you for next week.
I can either take them back and shred them, or if you want to shred them.
I mean, the letter.
Yeah,
That's what he's saying, if you want to shred it, that's what I'm giving to you.
I can shred it.
Everybody ought to give their.
Same shred, as far as I'm concerned.
All right, thank you, Chuck, we appreciate it.
Thank you for everything
Good
you've
luck
done today.
Okay, the ARP issue.
Next week.
Okay. You're the one that had the questions?
Okay, next week.
I was trying to remember who had.
So is there any information you need before then, or you just wanna
what
open the
what we got
discussion
left,
next
What we
week?
spent, and just to run down where we're at.
Why don't you talk to Tina
Yeah, I will.
and give her your specific questions?
Yeah,
She
so
may be
everybody
able to
knows
answer
where
them.
we're at.
Okay. County councilor's not here today. So, public forum, anyone online wish to make comments?
There was some comments that were directed for EMS, but they were all EMS.
So vote canvas is Friday, August 12th?
At 8:30.
Oh, 8:30.
Can I go ahead and appoint my person now? Because I'm thinking.
That way you don't
I
have to
am
be
an
here.
appointee.
Name your appointees. Garing first.
Joe Osborne.
Nikki Reed.
And Commissioner Becker is Nikki Reed. Crowfoot doesn't have a long drive.
I guess Dave's gonna.
He left?
Yeah,
He's got a phone call.
had something at 4 o'clock that he missed, he can call, make a phone call.
Any other commission comments? Again, just a follow-up thank you to the clerk's office and all the election staff for an outstanding job, and looking forward to it again in November. Chuckle. And if that is it, is there a motion to adjourn? Commissioner Garing, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Becker?
Good.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried, 4-0. Thank you.
Sound waves travel faster than
Yeah.
finger wave.
Yeah.